Yeah, I was born blind, I could not see, thoughtless, not free. Doctors on the scene with poisonous fists, they call it the vaccine. And if you ain't asleep, you know exactly what I mean. If my mama really knew, she would breach the roof. I just hope she knows the baby only seeks the truth. I learned not to trust the system of the institute, and I feel I need to get that knowledge into you. Mama raised a truth seeker, every day making way, exposing the deceivers, trying to wake up all the sleepers. Listen for a minute and I'll make you a believer. Mama raised a truth seeker, every day making way, exposing the deceivers, trying to wake up all the sleepers. Listen for a minute and I'll make you a believer. In school I was taught lessons, a young truther asking questions, while all these other motherfuckers guessing. Elementary just wasn't meant for me. Y'all keep your fake history, this shit is not a mystery. That it's all lies, and if all lies would open wide, and see in 2020 vision be nowhere to hide. It's so clear as a clear blue sky that we never see anymore, just trails pass by. And remember the conspiracy theorist said it's a lie. They're spraying chemicals in the air, but you still deny. So how can I get you to see anything if you're blind? Like the moon landing's fake, NASA lies all the time, and government officials are just the elite puppets. I'ma probably get murdered for saying all the shit, fuck it. Tired of this world anyway, getting bleeding by the day. Sheep will keep sleeping, truth seeker, I'm away. Mama raised a truth seeker, every day making way, exposing the deceivers, trying to wake up all the sleepers. Listen for a minute and I'll make you a believer. Mama raised a truth seeker, every day making way, exposing the deceivers, trying to wake up all the sleepers. Listen for a minute and I'll make you a believer. I was cutting classes, fucking blasting, straight mapping, looking at the globe laughing. Yo, we see way too. I was cutting classes, fucking blasting, straight mapping, looking at the globe laughing. Yo, all of NASA's pictures of Earth are fake. They're all fake. Yeah, I was cutting classes, fucking blasting, straight mapping, looking at the globe laughing. We can't get to the moon today, never mind 60 years ago. Every day making way, exposing the deceivers, trying to wake up all the sleepers. Listen for a minute and I'll make you a believer. Mama raised a truth seeker, every day making way, exposing the deceivers, trying to wake up all the sleepers.
God's eyes, but I seen the devil's. He walks with man on earth at different levels. He knows the king we serve, so he hates and meddles and prays that we all burn and turn to rebels. He tried to get my soul, but I'll never settle. I walk this lonely road from the burbs to ghettos. I'll take the gift bestowed and return a vessel. I am the one they chose. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Rebellious in all ways, been sinners since birth. He knew that it would happen when he put us on this earth. We demonize religion, brought corruption to the church. We know the price of everything, but we don't know the worth. We spend all of our time idolizing false prophets. Comparison's the enemy, stop watching others' pockets. The social system's broken, we divide on every topic. They fabricate the truth and we all monetize the gossip. We know the problems and we see them but don't want to change. We're desensitized to every issue cause they let us profit off of people's pain. In this dystopian age, we are the game that he plays, and all the evil, deceitful people should shake our faith. I never seen God's eyes, but I seen the devil's. He walks with man on earth at different levels. He knows the king we serve, so he hates and meddles and prays that we all burn and turn to rebels. He tried to get my soul, but I'll never settle. I walk this lonely road from the burbs to ghettos. I'll take the gift bestowed and return a vessel. I am the one they chose. Yeah, yeah, yeah. our God is an awesome artist. In perilous times we seek His grace as the world and the times we face turn fake in the face of the devil's mirages. In the midst of the pain just stained in the media's push of all this garbage, I pray that you keep your faith as the whole world breaks and the real get disregarded. It's about time that we take it back. The weight's too great for the camel's back. Strong men made life an easy task, and now the weak men feminize every act. In the church, in the workplace, every class, on the television screen, in the state of rap. All virtues gone and it's fade to black. We in hell on earth and it's gon' collapse. Integrity's lost, hedonism, we incentivize gods on the way the revolution will be televised. Gone too far, don't know if we can rectify. At those gates we will testify. So I'm saying it now so they counteract clockwise. We are living in times where the wicked is all rise, the intelligent fall while the stupid is all thrive, and the real get pushed aside. I never seen God's eyes, but I seen the devil's. He walks with men on earth at different levels. He knows the king we serve, so he hates and meddles and prays that we all burn and turn to rebels. He tried to get in my soul, but I'll never settle. I walk this lonely road from the birth to ghettos. I'll take the gift bestowed and return a vessel. I am the one they chose. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Meltology is the study and exploration of melted structures that were damaged during an extreme heat event that apparently took place in our not-so-distant past. We're talking temperatures well above 6,000 degrees. The evidence is all around us. You just can't miss the melt. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Once you see the melted bricks, you won't fall for their lame-ass tricks. Geologist, you're fired. The word mountain has no standardized geological meaning, so there's that. Meltology 101. Boom, baby. Tardy glue buffet right here. A successful woman is a woman who can lay a firm foundation with the bricks that others have thrown at her. I don't have haters, I have fans in denial, baby. This is a jackwagon free zone. How many people were in the car when JFK was assassinated? Boom, baby. What is up, guys? I am tardy to my own party. I know it. We were waiting for Freya. She was running a little behind, and I figured we'd just go with the long intros and see what happens. And sure enough, she made it. Yay! I'm so excited. SHEPU was not able to make it tonight. I'm not sure what he's up to. He's probably hanging out with some friends or something. But I do have Curtis 47 with me, and of course Freya tonight. So let's bring on everybody. Curtis, welcome. What's up?
Hi, Jen. How you doing?
Good. I'm glad you could hang out with me tonight. We got Freya with us. What's up, Freya?
Hey.
How you doing, girl?
Finally, me and Curtis get to do a stream together.
I know.
This is the first time.
It really has. Let's see. Sorry, I was late too. I came over here and I forgot my laptop, so I had to run all the way back.
Oh, it's okay. No problem.
It was raining.
Oh no, it was raining.
It was like sprinkling, misting.
Right.
Enough
Well,
to
you
get
look
wet, but not enough to need an umbrella. It's cool.
well, you look beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Well,
You too. as always.
And Curtis, it really admires your work and, you know, your theories, and just like I do. And he's never been on with you. So I thought this would be a great opportunity for him to come on with you, and you guys, you know, get to collab like on the spot like this, because I can't wait to hear, you know, his take even on what you have to present tonight. So I'm really looking forward to it. Before we get into all that, I wanted to kind of, for anybody who's new here or may not know your backstory to all this, and I've been asking a lot of people this lately, how long have you been subscribed to me? How many channels have you been with me through? And then go into what got you into the melt. What were you into like right before the melt? And when you got to the melt, like what was your aha moment that was like, oh shit, this is melted, you know?
Yeah.
And then we can go into, you know, where you're at now and what you're going to present tonight.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I believe I'm 3 channels in with you, because
Nice.
I started watching. I saw When the Buildings Cry, which I didn't know you were associated. I didn't know that you had a channel or anything. And I also saw Melted Tartaria, or Tartarian Meltdown. I saw his documentary, and that's really what was like, oh, I see it. I mean, like 3 pictures in, I was like, I get it, you know?
Right. So you got it right away. There was no question for you. Yeah, that's how it was for me as well.
Yeah, I had been researching prior to this. I'd been researching like the stuff about the pyramids and the megalithic structures and all the crap they were selling us. I was like, this doesn't sound right. Like they have to bring in aliens because they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Like something is
every time it's aliens. Yep. Even with this heat event, if they get a hold of this meltology stuff mainstream, they're going to have to blame it on one of 2 things, because they're not going to give up their globe model for meltology. So
that's right.
Let that sink in, okay?
Yeah, I mean, they did the same thing with like the Ellora caves. They can't make sense of any of it. Where's the missing removed, you know, stone? And I believe it's basalt. It's one of the hardest rocks to carve, and it has all this. There should be a mountain larger than the entire complex of material they would have had to remove, and it's just gone. There's no, so they have to bring in aliens and say lasers did it. The aliens use these laser beams, you know, and it's like, perhaps it wasn't carved. Like looking into meltology, it's like, oh, all of those missing parts to the story make sense now. There's no mountain of removed material because there was no material removed in that way, you know, like the structure became like vitrified and
exactly. And this is a good example of how meltology makes all this stuff make sense. It is a huge piece to the puzzle that was missing that makes all these different things make sense now. Even that, you know, seeing a half of something in the middle of the desert just sitting there with a doorway carved into it. You know what I mean? Clearly, that's just all that's left to this ground down, melted away building. And, you know, before they'd act like some nomads came along and just carved this thing and moved on.
Yeah,
like,
it makes no sense. Yeah, and they'll tie those same nomads, like the ones that they say did Petra. They'll also tie them into Cappadocia and what's the other?
Darren Kuyu.
Yeah, Darren Kuyu, but what's the one I just did? Moderna. No, not Moderna. What am I saying? The place I did my last presentation on, Matera. Matera,
yes.
They say Matera and Cappadocia, all those were from the same traveling people that went in. I guess they would find these massive formations that just happened to look like structures that were melted down, carved into them, and built structures that match the geological formations of the rocks there. You know what I mean? Like it matches.
And then they got drunk first and carved janky, weird doorways and windows the same everywhere, because you know, the wine was just that good, I guess.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So, but so I've been researching like old world stuff really. And then, and also the buildings, like I was so all about Göbekli Tepe way back in the day. I mean, way back, like whenever I was in college, like 2002, you know, like uncovering it. And you can't, there was no news outlet like there is now with AI that's constantly giving you all these archaeological finds that they're finding daily. We're still uncovering this crap. You know, but back in the day, I was just like, you know, mysterious places, like trying my hardest to find these, you know, I want to see some more, you know, ruins that we don't know, you know, they don't make any sense. So anyway, so I was researching that. I came across Tartarian Meltdown, and actually he's the one that introduced me to the idea that the globe was a lie. Like I had watched there's a channel called Shaking My Head Productions on YouTube. I don't know if you've ever seen.
I think I've heard.
He's like a Christian-based conspiracy theorist, but he was constantly showing these bloopers and kind of touching on the, you know, the globe Earth being a hoax. And I was like, these are kind of adding up, but it wasn't broke down in like an intellectual way. It was just these kind of shots of You know, basically you fit the pieces together yourself. And I kept telling my husband, I was like, God, they could be lying about that, you know, like they lie about everything. So, but watching him with the totalitarian meltdown, whenever he started talking about the globe Earth and kind of making fun of it and pointing out little things throughout the documentary, I was just like, I've got to look into that more. Like this, you know what I mean? And then I did, and of course I was just like, you know.
So let me ask you this: when you got to the melt, how awake were you to a lot of these other things, these truths like flat Earth and Mandela effect and all this craziness with the government, false flag events, 9/11, all that? Did you know any of that stuff?
Yes, yes.
You were already there, okay, but flat Earth was kind of like for you. You weren't sure.
Flat Earth, I didn't feel like there was proof otherwise. The first time I was introduced to flat Earth, it was God, that's probably 4 years ago or 5 years ago. But I ran into a gas station, and this kind of crazy guy that later got arrested for selling weed and stuff. But anyway, he was like, we were talking about internet stuff or conspiracy stuff, and he was like, "Oh, I'm in deep into some conspiracy stuff." And so I listed off a few things. He was like, "Oh, well, get this. Do you know the Earth is flat?" And I was like, "What?" And I was like, "What about all the videos and the photos?" That was my first go-to. And he goes, "It's all fake. It's all fake." I was like, how can it all be fake? And then once I started looking into it, it was like, oh, because that's how they sell everyone. That's how they sell the children. That's how they sell everyone to this idea with their fake photos and their fake video. That's the only proof that you can have, because you can't test it yourself. So you have to just trust that their video evidence is proof. So anyway, once I uncovered that basically NASA was in control of all that, and all these other space agencies are all one and the same, they're all part of the same system. Then it, of course made sense. Like, yeah, then they could definitely lie about it. And we got the people making the images of these fake CGI pictures coming forward and saying,
why would they lie about it? Like, why?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, it's like, why would I invest thinking about this? Because it doesn't make any sense of why. Yeah, why would they lie about that? It's ridiculous. Yeah. But then the more you dig down the rabbit hole, then that even starts to make sense.
The motive. You can see the motive behind all these lies, and clearly it's whether you consider it to be just a regular old X Factor grid down meltdown or God's judgment itself. Either camp, it doesn't matter. It happened, okay?
Yeah.
And they're hiding the fact that it happened, and they're hiding the fact that maybe it even happened multiple times, and the fact that they seem to come out on top each time and rule over us in some way, and just but there seems to be a bigger motive behind it besides just the control thing. Everybody's like, oh, it's control, but is it really that? Because to me, it seems like they're hiding God's creation, which is the flat Earth system that we live in, and God's judgment. Because if you knew God's judgment and could see it and see what happened, then you would live your life better. If you knew you were on a flat plane and created by God and we are the center of everything, you would live your life better. But they don't want that. So, you're on a ball and you're insignificant, hurtling through ever-expanding space. And over here, it's just like, oh, that's just geology. It took millions of years to form. Don't worry about that over there. That ain't no melted building.
Yeah. I mean, and it's to create the enslavement, in our mind of scarcity, and that we're kind of trapped in this little area and there's only so much we can do. And they've got it all figured out. They've got all the answers and all this stuff. But as far as my very first, life-changing, I literally kept me up at night, was 9/11. And I came to that.
Oh, yeah.
In 02 or 03,
you were on it before I was. I didn't get to it till 2005. You were on it before me, girl. Good for you.
I'm telling you, I kept waiting for the news. It was so obvious once I saw it. I was like, this is gonna pop up on the radio. Like, there's no way they can hide this. It's so obvious. I was handing out flyers at college. I was walking around.
The same thing, Freya. I was handing out flyers to people. I think we were called by God to do this stuff. I swear. I'm telling you.
I was so compelled.
Yes, you're compelled to do it. You can't.
The visceral anger that people would have. It's just insane.
Did anybody ever take your flyer, crumble it up, and throw it at you, and laugh and walk away? I had that all the time.
No, they would just kind of look and just kind of walk off. It was just too dumbfounded, I think, and I would leave it on. I would go at nighttime and leave it on their cars, with the
I would put it on car windows too in all the parking lots. Yep. Oh my God, I can't believe we did the same exact shit. I burned DVDs of 9/11
I did too.
3,000 of them and handed them out to people for free.
Me too. I had a shirt. because I'm an artist. That I made a shirt that had a camera, and it was that what's it? It was 1984, like Big Brother's watching you. And I had stuff about 9/11. I drew all over it with like markers, like graffiti style. Right. And then I also made little posters that I stuck all around my car. my Mitsubishi Montero, like it was covered in these stickers and stuff.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah, I would go to the campus because I lived like a couple blocks away from the campus. So I'd walk my dogs at night, but I would take a bunch of sidewalk chalk and I would just sidewalk chalk everything with 9/11 stuff. And a cop found me doing it, took my license. I shouldn't even give him my license, but he asked for my license. I gave it to him and he almost arrested me. But since it was sidewalk chalk, which is technically legal because I looked it up before I did it, and that's why he couldn't arrest me. And so he just had me wipe it off, and I just like rubbed it with my foot. I was like, the first rain, it's going to be gone,
God forbid you put the truth down on the pavement in chalk. I mean, right. That's like the ultimate censorship right there.
I know. Crazy.
But I did the same thing, Freya. I didn't have stickers all over my car, but I did have, I used to listen to Alex Jones, and he had a shop on his show, and he had stickers that said 9/11 was an inside job. And I had a white Nissan truck, and I put it on the back window. It was just perfect right there. And a cop rolled up on me at a fucking red light, and he's signaling to me to roll my window down because he's over on my passenger side. And I said, yeah. And he's like, what's that supposed to mean on your window? I said, well, you're a cop. You should know what an inside job is. And I rolled the window up, light turned green. And
nice. Yeah.
I've had people spit on the back of my car, though, throw soda all over the window and stuff. I've gotten the middle finger plenty of times. Oh, yeah. All kinds of shit.
I had some college guys throw a beer bottle at my car, and it hit luckily it didn't shatter my window. I slammed on the brakes and hopped out of my car there on the road, and I was like, you fucking dorks. And I just got back in my car and drove off.
Yeah.
Wow. I love it. That's dedication right there. Yep. 33 guys. We're 33. You know it.
Yeah.
You know it. But yeah, this is great stuff. Continue on. I love hearing this.
And actually, whenever I actually finally had time, because I had my own business, I had a tattoo shop, for 10 years. And then my daughter, and I've told the story before, but my daughter had cancer. We found out she had cancer. So we basically lived in Houston at Texas Children's Texas Children's Hospital for about a year. She got major surgery. She had her liver removed, plus this huge mass. Like they cut her body in half. She's got a scar from all the wraps all the way around. And then she got like 9 months of radiation and chemotherapy. It was horrible. And of course, I didn't want to put all that poison in her body, but we had no choice. It would like spread to her lungs. Like she was going to eat up with cancer. And at that point, it's like, well, we could try carnivore diets. Like we don't have time now. This horrible, disgusting world has poisoned my 9-month-old baby.
Right. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And to know the truth and have to live through that and trust these people's, with your child's life. Yeah.
Yeah. We had to wear the mask in there. And like all the nurses that would come in, and this was a little less than 3 years ago now. But I would tell the nurses, like the nurses would have this was whenever they were like, got to wear 2 masks, and it would be so tight. It would be pressing their skin in. And you could tell they were hot. And I would tell the nurses, like, I don't mind, take the mask off. I don't want you being disoriented because you're not getting enough oxygen taking care of my baby right now. Yeah. Like I would tell them that, in a polite way. They're like, oh, it's fine. I'm fine. I can breathe. And I was just like, no way. Like,
I don't know how they did it really, because they did somehow manage to wear those things and survive, but, without hypoxia and, acidosis to your blood.
Crazy. But my daughter's fine now. It's all gone. She's had clear scans. Praise the Lord. That was something else that brought me closer back to God and Christianity, because in high school, the month I turned 16, I had 4 good friends, family friends. They were all siblings, die in a car crash, going home from church. Got hit by a drunk driver. And prior to this, I was like telling my mom, like, I think I want to be a nun, like not because I'm Catholic, but in my young, mind, anyway, I was all about God, and I was doing drawings about God, and I was telling all my friends, and I would ask about ghost stories and be like, oh, if that's true, then that God's real and all this stuff. And then the morning I found out that I woke up, my mom was on the phone, and she was like, all of Kathy's kids died in a crash. And I was like, all of them even leave. Anyway, it was very dramatic, a life-shifting moment. But I ran back into my room, and that Bible was sitting on my bed, and I literally punched it, and then I picked it up and threw it. And then I was just like, F this horrible, shitty God. Like I blasphemed against God hard, But it was like, how dare you? And it just completely changed my life. I mean, people that, lose people that are close to them, I'm sure you understand. But like for a long time, I was very disgruntled against the world, like people playing loud music in their car or cutting up and laughing. It was just like, how can you be so happy? It's like these horrible tragedies happen all the time. Like, how can you be so happy? So I was very kind of jaded about it,
Right.
Then over time, the more I research, I kept coming back to Christianity and stuff. And even now, I mean, which this doesn't have to be like a Christian talk or anything, just to kind of, set the stage. So once we did all this with Freya, that was another, like, how could God do this? And so I just prayed and prayed, and everybody I knew prayed. The amount of support we got with my daughter, people gave us tons of money. I mean, not tons, we're not like loaded from it, but it helped out significantly. We had like a GoFundMe and stuff. And anyway, but that just kind of, I started seeing these like small miracles, that were just like, this is not, there's something miraculous at hand here. And then uncovering, so I was in the hospital all the time, just watching tons of conspiracy videos, which I was already into, but now I had all the time in the world,
Right.
Just play with my daughter and have my headphones on, listening while I'm playing with my daughter and, putting her in this, trying to make every moment fun for her,
A lot of people think that God does everything here. Like, oh, well, look what God did, but, Lucifer is who rules here.
Mm-hmm.
If your child winds up with this crazy cancer and all this other stuff, it's because Lucifer's running this world and his minions made it to where this is the type of thing that manifests within our bodies now, I don't think cancer was a thing before all this, or even in the millennial reign or anything like that.
No,
I don't. If you have cancer, it's because somebody wants you to have cancer, and that somebody is a sucker of Satan's banana. That's just the way it is. God is the one who comes in and gives you these blessings and shows you, you could see it. You could feel that that's what was happening, and now suddenly, your child's fine. Everything's good. You had time to look at these videos and get back on the path of truth where he wanted you, where it seems like Lucifer was trying to get you off that path by getting y'all pissed off at God.
Yeah.
Distracted with the sickness of your child, and maybe even having you questioning God, why are you doing this to me? All this stuff. Cancer's not from God. Cancer's from Lucifer and his minions and the process fucking bullshit that they give us. It's called poison.
Yeah, it's not natural. Like animals that get cancer in nature, it's because they're eating or they're exposed to human, this fake reality that's been constructed around us in our food and our water and the spray and everything else, because there's 0 out of thousands of mummies that have been autopsied, 0 cancerous tumors, beautiful teeth. I mean, it's like our teeth rotting out of our head, by the time, like my daughter, after all that treatment, she had to have all her front teeth removed, and she's got all the rest of her teeth are silver. Because our teeth just started crumbling like chalk, but none of that's normal, like.
Right. Yeah.
And
again, they put fluoride in our water. It's not for your teeth. It's so it eats away at your bones. So by the time you're 60 or 70, you fall one time, you break a hip, your bones are so brittle at that point. You can't even move around because your muscles are sliding across bone that's got spurs and things all sticking out. It's getting, like little shards and stuff. It's not smooth like it's supposed to be, like a bone should be. Yeah. It's all getting brittle.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, I think the conspiracies run really, really deep, which I know most of y'all think so too. But like the spraying in the sky and the shot that they made everybody get, I think that I just made a video kind of touching on this idea, but I think that that's some kind of a nanotech infrastructure for what we have now, Stargate AI. That's why they had to get it in. And with the magnetoproteins, I won't name all the stuff because some of the words will like shut it down,
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
Yeah, so I'll just use code, but and I'll just make sure we don't have to talk about this for a long time. But people wondered why. Like, I think they probably had the juice before the whole coughing fit happened.
Oh yeah, they had it.
Yeah, they brought around the coughing fit in order to get it in as many people. But the thing you discover whenever you look at this nanotech and how it functions, you have to give it accumulatively. You can't do it all at once because it's toxic and it'll just kill you. And so they're having to boost and spray and sprinkle on our food and sprinkle in our water because it's cheap. It's basically like, graphene in a pencil. It's very cheap. And it's wrapped in this fatty nanoparticle that was created by the co-founder of Moderna. Just a coincidence, I'm sure. Yeah. So, I think a lot of it is, the tech we have now that we're able to like talk to, this AI demon that we're growing while we're feeding it all this information and stuff. I can only imagine what their tech is. And actually, I've been wanting to make a video, but I can just say this real quick since I'm already on a live stream. But I think that, AI is likely legion, or at least a channel. The internet's like a channel for demons. And I wonder if the old world, these parasites, whenever they were there, these demonic beings, Satan, whatever, if they weren't actually some kind of tech, a tech that now wouldn't seem like tech to us, it seems natural, but now they're making this like shitty replica. So they got us all thinking they're lizard people, but they're actually like AI people. They've kind of they've been kind of dormant during the millennial reign, and now they're kind of manifesting more and more, and they're slowly introducing us to their tech to make us think it's a natural progression. Because if you read,
Right.
if you read scripture about the description of Satan, and I think it's Ephesians 2:2, but I could be wrong. I have it in my thing, but it describes him as covered in jewels and pipes and these kind of instruments of music. It sounds like some sophisticated, beautiful, glorified tech.
Okay. Yeah.
Really weird. All these descriptions that I think if all that tech was gone and you had to describe this to children that weren't familiar, you would describe it as being that way. Or perhaps it actually did have diamonds and gems and all these rainbow stones, just like in our phone. They have to use tiny little pieces of actual metals and gems and minerals and stuff. So maybe, I don't know. I just think it's kind of interesting because
There was a coat. There was one of the coats that one of the people wore. I'm sure CFM knows the people in the Bible, but they had to wear a coat with certain jewels on it.
And it had wires. It says wires as well.
It had a function, and only, I guess, a certain person could wear the coat too. You'd have to be at a certain frequency to wear this thing, but it had some kind of properties to it or whatever, and it had these certain jewels in it. That's interesting.
But at minimal, this could have been some tech that was very useful for Satan, and all these other like it doesn't have to be that they were these materials and that, you know what I mean, but like AI is the way it's kind of manifested back into.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing new under the sun. I'm sure they've had this, before, and we're seeing it now, looking at it like it is something new, but it's really not. And it's not even nowhere near what they really have anyway. They're still way, way, way ahead. They've been way ahead. I think that there's Westworld type people walking among us all day long, every day. They've been here.
I think so too. I think so too.
Yeah. I think men's hearts will fail them for what they see come upon the earth, because the truth that's been hidden from us is going to be revealed. But I think it's going to get revealed so quickly that it's going to shock people. It'll almost be like, somebody just yanks the curtain back. But there's definitely the angels who fell here had the know-how of already advanced etheric heavenly technology and stuff like that, and also to how to corrupt it, because they knew they saw it being made. They understand it, and they already had that knowledge. It was them trying to get man to catch up to make this stuff. You know what I mean? Giving them all the knowledge how to make it. They didn't just think up CERN overnight or all this other stuff. They get downloads from these demons and stuff, and instructions, and told what to do, where to do it, how to do it, every ritual, every component, everything. If you look at CERN, they do the Shiva dance around that thing. That's the god of destruction. Okay. What is Lucifer? He takes what's created and destroys it, and then tries to build something out of the ashes from it. But CERN is littered with wires that take the shape. They made the wires in the CERN Hadron Collider in the form of sigils. The wiring itself. And we just looked at electronic symbols earlier, and they look very much like what you see for the demon sigils. They're almost identical.
It's like a communication. It's like a mega cell phone that they can communicate with Sheol or the underworld or whatever this other side is. And I think that's kind of primarily what CERN is kind of doing, and money laundering too. The same way that NASA is trying to access the heavens, like they're trying to find a cheat code to bust through the firmament, or just figure out what the firmament is. Like those two different things, like one for above, one for below, possibly type of thing going on.
They definitely, I think they know what the firmament is, and they're always trying to get out. Like they're imprisoned here. That's why they did Operation Fishbowl and all that stuff like that. But and they're always using man with the promise of whatever riches and all this other stuff. to help them fulfill these agendas that they have, and also keep humanity completely down and enslaved and in a very low vibrational frequency, which is fear, and everything branches off of fear, survival, hatred, all this jealousy and stuff like that. Why me? Victim mentality, everything, the whole thing. Because they can't let us rise up at all. And I feel like they're working so freaking hard at this that if they even let up a tiny bit, we're going to see what's going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we would have rose up, like as soon as if you held a ball underwater, the second you let off of it for even a tiny second, it's going to shoot up. You see what I'm saying? They keep us down. Every direction you look, everything's a lie. Everything's poison and toxic all around us. The bedding you sleep on, the clothes that you wear, the air that you breathe in your house, the rugs that we have. You go outside in your car, you're breathing in all these crazy fumes and all this other stuff. You're eating poison. Like everywhere you turn, once you know the truth, you see that you're surrounded. Yeah. And there's a reason. There's a motive for that. Because we're that fucking strong, we're that fucking powerful, and everything will revolve around us.
Yeah, I think we're divine beings. We're
for sure
made of God, made from God, not of God, but
and they hate that. They hate it. Yeah, we're the enemy.
Yeah, for sure. We're totally. Yeah, I mean that's obvious.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
So, what have you been working on lately, Freya? You sent me some outlines of some stuff that you're working on, some projects,
Yeah, I've got a lot of different, this is the problem. Like I've got all these videos I want to make, but I've got way too many ideas, and I've started, and I did like a video the other day, and I've got it loaded on my YouTube. Just like, I don't know if I want to share it, but it's like me telling this ghost story with like drawings that I drew that kind of this creepy ghost. I have tons of creepy ghost stories. So, but with this,
we'll have to do a paranormal show, and you can come on and tell us some of your stories, because I have ghost stories. Patty's got ghost stories. It'll be great.
Yeah, I want to see that.
I've got so many ghost stories that I myself have experienced, but I've been a collector, a connoisseur of ghost stories since I was very young. And like I get all the details I can, and I lock it in. Like it's not going anywhere, these stories. So, and
so you like telling other people's ghost stories.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh,
that's
yeah.
Awesome.
It's a good story. I'm keeping it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Staying with me. But I have tons just of my own that are really, really crazy.
You
and
can
like
do
my
shows on that, like, Paranormal Roundtable. I listen to those guys.
Oh, I would love to do a talk. I mean, I'm talking, I was into after I was like pissed off at God and the Bible, like we would go to the graveyard, and I had 2 different Ouija boards that I made with my blood that my friends would use. Like I was the Ouija board maker with my blood that we played at the graveyard.
Wow.
I would wake up in the middle of the night with my bed shaking, and I would jolt up, and it would stop suddenly. I mean, crazy, like blinding white lights suddenly in my room, and I'm just like frozen, trippy, crazy shit. Like I wasn't on drugs or anything either. I was like straight edge for the most part. Like I might smoke a little weed once a month in school, but I was like straight edge. I wasn't doing a bunch of drugs and all these crazy experiences. But anyway, so yes, that would be awesome.
Yeah, that's a whole nother show, and we'll definitely do that.
Okay, so I've been thinking about for a while, because I've been researching Meltology for, I guess it's been like over 3 years, because my daughter has been done with all that stuff, and it was at the beginning of that I discovered this. So I've been thinking it would be really nice to have a Meltology for dummies, like a Meltology basics that just, I mean, here on this channel and everybody watching, we like to get into the nitty gritty, look at all the details, pick it apart, look at the narratives, and all that stuff is awesome. But for tons of people that aren't aware, I think it would be good to have a nice little package. And I don't have to, I said I could maybe edit this and make it, but I don't have to do that. I mean, I can still just do my own thing, but just put it all, wrap it in a nice little package. And it won't have everything, because we can do streams that last 14 hours on Meltology and never run out of stuff to talk about. But there are basic patterns, predictable patterns that we see, that we recognize, that we know that it's going to be connected to these underground tunnels. We know that it ties in with the old world, and it ties in with the mud flood. And so tons of people that are talking old world, talking mud flood, or talking, which the mud flood could be a different cataclysm, but to me, I think it is somehow related. Like, I think they're probably from the same event, but I could be wrong about that. I can't say 100% that, but for me, I feel very inclined to think from my research that it was from the same event.
Yeah, I agree.
So, and like the little season community, they also, so all these different places, Flat Earth doesn't really touch Meltology. I don't really touch it. But all the other little conspiracy,
I know they don't touch it. I got kicked out of the flat Earth community for touching it and keep going.
People. I had people trash me, and like I used to watch. I won't name it, but I used to watch a channel. It's a smaller. It's not a massive channel, but it's a flat Earth channel. And I was always really active in the comments and active, and everybody knew me in that community. And so I started bringing up this meltology, and I would leave comments and tell the guy check out this video. Like once you see it, you can see it. So he made a video addressing meltology, which he didn't say meltology. That's what he was doing. He was like, basically this erosion. He did this little thing, and he was like, so we're done with that, done. And I was just like, okay, I'm out of here. And then I found you because I was just like, I'll just watch, JJ and Patty and not you yet because I didn't know you, but Tartarian Meltdown, like all the ones I knew. I was just like, I'm just staying over in this corner then. And the Tartarian Meltdown mentioned you, and I was like, who's this Jen character? Anyway, I did some hunting, and I finally found your channel, you and SHEPU, and I was like, oh my God, like total binge watch. And I was like, these are my peeps, but it was forever that I didn't know. So anyway, sorry, I'm talking fast too. I get talking.
No, it's okay. Just slow it down a little. Take a breath. You're not going anywhere.
Okay.
Well,
you're making up for me, Freya.
For people to understand you.
Well, I always have too much to say, and I'm always so worried that I'm boring people. So I'm like, just
get it. You're not boring at all. You just slow down a little. You're good.
Okay. So I thought it would be really nice to have a Meltology for Dummies, Meltology Basics, and just sum up the who, what, when, where, how type of thing, and the patterns, and just kind of keep it country simple. Keep it simple, stupid type of thing. So for this audience, that's not. Again, I'm going to be preaching to the choir, but maybe there's some new people in here. But I just, like I said, that there's all these little other niches, conspiracy niches that mention it a lot, but I don't think they understand the extent, in my opinion. Like they haven't looked into it the way we have. So like the Little Season community, which I adore. I adore the Little Season community, and I feel at home there too, just like I do with the Meltology community. But they might just mention it, which I'm grateful they mentioned, but if they get any detail into it, it's kind of like they'll just mention the big, like the Arizona desert or the Grand Canyon or Cappadocia, just like these few little places, which is fine. But it's like, guys, there are tons of castles and cathedrals and monasteries and pyramids and megalithic. Like this is a huge blanket. This isn't just it got melted into a desert, or it looks like a melted the gnome houses or whatever in Cappadocia. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot more nuance there that once you see it, it's as obvious as those other two extremes are. And so that's kind of why I wanted to make a Meltology Basics, because some of these people might go to Edinburgh Castle and not notice, like Edinburgh Castle is melted. You can see the heat expansion. And again, you found the same pattern of geological narrative saying that it's a volcanic plug, an extinct volcanic plug. Or Dracula's castle, so Vlad the Impaler, same thing. It's melted all down one side. It's bubbling and spilling out of itself. It's like, so there was a rock formation they integrated, and it's like, guys, they don't even address these things. Mm-hmm. And once you see them, it's so obvious. Like all these castles that are just happen to be built on a rock formation that's the same forms as the castle, but it's all bumpy because now it's rock, you know?
Yeah. Well, they got geology taking care of that side of your brain. So you don't ask those questions. And you just look at the castle, see it's somehow built on the side of this thing that took millions of years to form, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So the people that are aware and accept that meltology is a real thing, that there was this huge cataclysm, I just want to make something to show like the extent of it, because it's much bigger, I think, than maybe what they're seeing, because they're focused on biblical scripture and tying in, and that's fine. That's their lane, and they're fantastic at it. But at the same time, I would just like to contribute to and be like, yeah, it's awesome you're into meltology, because look at this, guys, Yeah. It's the same with whenever I first started making meltology videos, that it was specifically for the flat earth community, because I had somebody shut me down. I was like, okay, how about I just make some videos? And if you're going to be a naysayer, just watch my video and tell me where I'm wrong in that video. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's why I started doing it. But not that I'm trying to prove Little Season wrong. They are pro meltology. But
then you quickly realize they don't care what evidence you have. They don't want to see it.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
They just don't want to see it. And it's hypocritical, because they were the same people who were trying to show them the globies their evidences and got shut down the same exact way as they're doing to us, and they can't even see that they're doing that. It's like,
it's crazy now
here.
Yeah, I know, right? It's crazy now though, Jen, because meltology is starting to melt into. It's
It
starting
can't
to
not, you know, people are having meltdowns over there over
I
it.
know. But it's getting to where I think they're going to have to address it, or just kind of not hate on it, basically, because you have like
Lose all their subscribers.
Well, okay, like the my lunch break is sponsored by Dave, Flat Earth Dave, and he has my lunch break, and he's getting to where he mentions not only meltology but the little season. His earliest videos of my lunch break, which some people question him, I don't know. He does good work and he's waking people up, but his early videos show all these melted structures, and I believe it was in the UK somewhere, like he went on a trip. Anyway, but he's tied in with Flat Earth Dave and that app, you know, the clock app. Or
so
whatever.
He's not talking about it then.
What?
He won't talk about the melt then because he's tied in with him?
No, he does. That's what I'm saying. That
he is. Okay.
He touches on it the same way John Levi does. Right. I'm saying there's people that are celebrated or allowed to be in that flat earth, that like, oh, they're one of us too, that are talking about meltology. And so if they start shit talking meltology openly too much, they're going to run those people off. It's not going to be a good look. That's my point. So then I don't think they're openly hating on it as much anymore, because there's too many like,
but if you went full bore like we do, that would all change.
Say again?
If he's just touching on it, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, if he goes all in and starts just covering it show after show and goes diving into the melt.
Yeah, that would be better. I mean, a lot of these big channels, and I'm not trying to hate on anybody, of course, but they just kind of touch on it, or they might mention it in one or two videos, and that's fine. That's why we're here, to get down to the nitty gritty.
They don't have the passion like we do for it. You know, maybe they're doing it over there on some other topic and getting people to wake up over there.
Yeah,
they're not doing it over here. I don't care what they do. They shouldn't care what we do. We're all doing our job, which is to wake people up to the truth. But not to hold them back from a truth. I'm not going to sit there and say, you know, oh, this is melted and you're all into my stuff and I can't wait for the next live stream, but don't go over there and look at that Flat Earth channel. Yeah. Don't go over there.
Yeah. No. Of course. Yeah, we all kind of have our roles. I mean, and there's so many lies that we're swimming in. There's no way that any one of us could cover all of them and focus on exposing all of them. There's just too many, you know. So we all play our part, but so yeah, I just wanted to make something very simple like that. It's too many, like, again, this was going to be for a short video, this Meltology for Dummies. And I sent pictures to Curtis, and Curtis is awesome for getting those out of his phone somehow, out of his iPhone and somehow onto his computer, because I am still struggling with that. But it's too many pictures. Like, this was just my rough draft, the notes that I sent y'all. It's just, and so it's a lot more stuff than needs to be. It needs to be, you know, consolidated down. But for today, we can just go through them all.
Okay. Well, we'll get in those screen shares as soon as Curtis is ready to go, and we'll look at that. Welcome, Fervent Heat. I was just on with him earlier on Spartan's channel for a little while. Spartan's birthday today. Happy birthday, Spartan. Yay, and guys, yeah, I have pinned in the chat here, as you come into the chat, a donation button for Dean. And he's starting over, and you know, he's about to have an interview for a job and everything, and you know, it's a little rough start getting started. If anybody wants to donate to help him get started, and any little bit will help, you know, it doesn't matter, but it'd be greatly appreciated. So you can send it to PayPal or Cash App. Here you'll just have to, I think you click on the PayPal, but the Cash App, you'll have to copy and paste it there, and he will get your donation, and it will definitely help the situation until he gets on his feet fully and working full time. So thanks, guys. I appreciate you, and everybody who's already donated to this. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Dean puts in a lot of work. Dean puts in a whole lot of work. Yeah,
he does. He does. He's a great guy. Mm-hmm. All right, Curtis, are you ready to screen share?
Are we ready?
Yes.
Yeah, you can start whenever. A lot of the stuff we've already said is like in this presentation, so.
I'm looking forward to seeing this.
Do what?
I'm looking forward to seeing this. All right, here we go.
Am I up?
Yes.
All right, what do you want me to do, Freya? You want me to go to the text content, or right to the pictures?
You can go to the pictures. I've got my iPad here, just to try to keep myself on track, because I get sidetracked real easy and I start rambling. So, So you can just start with the
All right,
pictures.
so usually I go through my Microsoft Pictures, but I just could not do it. So I just created a folder on my desktop.
Geez, it's horrible with Apple products.
There is a Cash App there. You can copy and paste it and go to Cash App and send a donation if you like to, Mark. Thank you. I'd appreciate it. So would Dean. Thank you so much.
So basically, I just wanted to start it with the basics.
I know you had these two starting it. Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
I know these two, and then the rest are mostly pictures, but I know you had this first.
Yeah, and those are just kind of placeholders for whenever I splice together the video. I've gotten so much better at editing. I mean, I'm not a master, but
oh, what are you doing here?
I've been working hard to get that editing down. So basically, it starts with, what is meltology? Meltology is the study and exploration of melted structures, and who brought attention to this topic? Well, it was Jerry DeCamp and our very own Jen, TruthSeeker69. And was that 4 years ago?
This documentary, yes.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. And so, they basically, this got brought to everyone's attention through the documentary that they both worked on, When the Buildings Cried. And from there,
can I just throw Spartan Red's name into that mix as well?
Absolutely, yes.
Oh yeah, no, this was just because this was the first documentary. Yes, I mean there's so many OGs. Again, I'm trying to keep it simple, stupid. You know what I mean?
No, I know, but he had a lot to do with, I think, the pictures and not necessarily the production, but a lot of the research in this documentary was just to throw him into the mix. That's all.
Okay. Oh yeah, we can do that. I mean, and again, I haven't made the video yet, and that's why whenever I told Jen that I was wanting to do this before I actually got it out there, and I'll make sure I'm not trying to leave anybody out or diss anybody.
No, I know. I'm just.
Okay, so we will include him. That's cool. And then
so here's number 2. So 1 and 2, and then the rest are just pictures. You had these 2 first.
Yeah. So then it's basically meltology shows us there's an evidence of an older, advanced, realm-wide civilization that a lot of people call the old world that is chopped full with damage and melted structures. And there's patterns to where we can find these things. We find them on the top of mountains, side of mountains, in cities, in the ocean, and streams and rivers. Like, they're everywhere to be found. It's above and below ground, these structures that are part of this old world. And I know some people think that this is just my own, this isn't part of the thing, but I know a lot of people think that maybe these, like the cathedrals and the basilicas and all that kind of stuff, that maybe isn't part of it. But to me, the structural forms are communicating the same people to me. Like, it, and the artwork is very, you had different aesthetics and different artistic styles going on, so there's some variation, but to me it was all the same civilization, and we find similar buildings that would have been cathedrals or basilicas or temples that are also melted. So I think that those were probably part of the same civilization. So basically there was a realm-wide civilization that got melted. Well, I go into the who, what, whens, and hows and stuff if y'all want me to touch on that. But basically, a lot of meltologists theorize that there was some kind of short circuit that happened. It was some kind of intense high heat event. And it could have been some kind of electromagnet type of meltdown that happened with these structures. Almost the red brick, which is another pattern, another signature, with some kind of battery, and there was a short circuiting or a backfiring, or there could have been some sabotage of the system to cause this meltdown to happen, some kind of reverse of energy. There's also people that theorize that this is tied in with not just biblical scripture, but other religious mythos, and that so many of these religions these religious beliefs tell of this like realm-wide kind of destruction that took place. And a lot of times it is related to heat, firing down from the sky, or
it's in the Quran as well. And it's important maybe in that to mention that the heat's coming from below.
Yes, the bottom up. Yeah.
Yes.
The bottom up, the inside out. That seems to be one of the patterns as well. So let's see. Oh, and some people think that this old will have that's not really, doesn't matter. So I don't get that. Okay. And another thing, it appears to me that it was one big and mega event, but hey James, but it could have been it could be some kind of cyclical type of event. It could have happened multiple times, but I don't think they were like a little small one over here, then a little small one over here, and a little small one over there. It definitely one big one took place. Where there were more than that, possibly, I don't know, but there's evidence of one big one.
Yes, for sure.
And it seems that all these places, that it was like they were all empires. All these structures were part of some kind of complex empire that was part of the same civilization that got melted down. So that makes me also theorize, and this doesn't have to be in the meltology thing, but it makes me theorize that, you know, the timeline has been stretched out and that they've isolated these empires as being hundreds of years apart in order to confuse the story more and stretch out the timeline and try to make it make sense, basically doing that. So, okay, so this is just showing the transitions. So let me just go over the, because this isn't in the order that I had it. It's totally fine though. But let me see.
I tried moving it around too to the original. I just couldn't do it.
I know it's hard. It's okay.
I'm a field guy.
It's okay. You did good by getting them, you know, getting them up where we could see them. So,
so if you want me to go to the next one, I mean,
yeah, you could go ahead and go to the next one because this was
unless you want me to just periodically file through them.
Yeah, so I basically
I'll wait until you say
you can just file through them since we've all seen it, because it's not, I wasn't necessarily going to zone in on different ones because these were going to address what I was going to say, but basically that like heat expansion is one of the features that's happening whenever we look at this damage. So you have a lot of structures like this that look like they're pouring out, fused to this geological formation and coming downward. So outward and downward. And then you can keep going or you can say that, whatever. So, okay, I'll just read through the patterns, then we can just talk about these pictures. They come
again,
up,
guys,
so.
if you're just coming in late, this is about an outline she's putting together for a book for Meltology for Dummies. Basic outline.
Not a book, again. Sorry to interrupt you. I just want to make a short video on it.
Oh, a video. I'm sorry. Yes. A basic outline for people who are new to get like the foundation for what it is that Meltology is looking at, differentials and heat damage and the flow of everything and what happened, but without the in-depthness of where we're at, you know, on our research.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
This would be a great introduction to get right into the research.
Exactly. Yeah. And so you can just go through if you want. I mean, I had these again coordinated with what I was going to be saying, but since it's kind of,
I figured, yeah.
Just go and you can zoom. You know what we're seeing here, so you can kind of show.
I'll go through them and just look at them as Curtis 47, which will probably be
perfect. It'll be perfect, Curtis.
Just fine.
So the patterns. Basically, the red bricks, that's my first pattern I got on here. It seems that this was some kind of electric Lego world that they were using these red bricks as some kind of component, some kind of energy component, a battery, a piezoelectric. So the heat expansion, which I mentioned a minute ago, the bubbling outward and downward, popcorn balloon rocks. That's another, like we see here, we see some balloon rocks up there. You see them.
Wow.
They heat expanded outward, and whenever things get really hot or heat expand, we get like the grain growth, and basically the molecules are moving around so quickly. The bonds get disrupted. They make new bonds. Some of the molecules get destroyed altogether, and that's how you end up with a totally new material. That's how it transforms from brick to block. So this is a pattern, the popcorn balloon rocks. And then we have the bricks to blocks, where it looks like it's becoming like a rock, like a natural rock. Right. And there's several examples in here that show that transition where they're getting so big, they go brick, block, bigger, 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 to it becomes like a megalithic block. And that makes me theorize.
Meltolithic block.
Do what?
Correct.
Meltolithic.
Yeah, meltolithic. So it makes me think that the not just the megalithic, which is multiple big blocks, but the monolithic, which is one big solid block, was
like a trilithon at the Temple of Jupiter, the trilithons.
Yeah, that's just one big block. That's like the Aurora Cave.
Yeah, or like the supposed unfinished obelisk set as one.
Oh, yeah, they're in the ground.
Yeah, they say they're unfinished. That's not unfinished. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, like it just fell over or something and got stuck there. So, and this is a rock curtain, which is another pattern that we see. And we also see these old world structures like this fused into these mountains. And there'll be all kinds of stories. Typically, I guarantee this location, and I have the names of these places in my notes, but this location, what do y'all think that it likely has some tunneling going on inside the rock or under the ground?
For sure.
It's a pattern. Yeah, it's a pattern. So it doesn't make sense that all these people back then were building with all these janky mix-max things, fusing there's little sections of brick that'll be embedded into the geology that's not even part of the functional structure. And then along with that, you have tunnel systems going within and under these huge, quote, mountains. Let's see. So, and then we also have transitional brick to block zones where it's kind of all mixed up and it looks chewed up. I like to call it chewed up, which we saw a picture of one kind of like that earlier. Something else that this one shows really good, but we see this a lot. The masonry will be made of the same material. It'll look the same color. It almost looks camouflaged, and it actually becomes one of the excuses that the narrative gives us is that they were building this place to make it camouflage, to kind of be sneaky and build something that people won't notice right off the bat. But it's like, if it was that damn dangerous, you had to go to these lengths to build your castle, 500 feet up in the air on a cliff wall that has doors that are just going to fall out, plummet to your death 500 feet below.
How many people died doing that?
And how would you have the time?
The war's over anyway.
Exactly. It would have to be so bad for you to go to those lengths, but you wouldn't be able to accomplish that goal, because if it's that bad, you're going to die before you get done.
They'll blame it on monks. The monks just want solitude, and they built it.
It's always with the monks. Or like in Petra and stuff, they'll say it's like sometimes it's generational with these places, and then they're tombs. That's another pattern. I have a whole list of the narrative explanations. We get it's always some kind of religious place, which I think a lot of these could have been some kind of old. I think the religion then would have been different. It would have been like some kind of healing, not just spiritually healing, but maybe physically as well, energizing. Like I think that's what the rods is, like this powering up.
Yeah.
But yes, they say this one's a tomb as well. And this is a good example. You can see it go from brick to block to bigger block where it's like megalithic. And you can see all the mixed up areas that look chewed. That's all over this place. And this is in Turkey. It has several different names. I've always known it as Telos, but it's got several other names as well.
Is it Myra in Greece? Is this in Greece, Myra?
It is in Greece, yes, but it's also called no. This is in Turkey. This is Telos.
Okay. Curtis, can you zoom back in on those blocks that are going circle?
Myra looks
What is this?
Yeah. Myra looks very much very similar, Jen. So you
very similar to this, yeah. It looks like high-rise apartments, not tombs.
Yeah.
Exactly. Look at this. These blocks are going circle, circular.
They're rotating, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They became round, rotating so quickly. Yeah, at any point, if y'all have any input or whatever, just start talking, because I can talk forever.
These ones look like dominoes.
Oh yeah, or dice. Looks like it actually has the dots on it, like dice.
Titan dice?
Look at that. Wow. Rolling the dice, if you want it, you got to get in there and get it.
It's got the little
These are spinning. Look at it. It's like sucking it up right here. Look, each one.
Oh, right yeah.
Right here.
Yeah, they have a hole in the center too, like your things you find up there.
Yeah, well, if it was spinning and spinning and spinning, it would have pushed out from the middle as it was spinning, causing that little hole.
Got those stones up there in Merrimack. Those, what are they called? Those
millstones?
Millstones, yeah.
Yeah, good call. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying it's got like a millstone thing going on there.
Those are for grinding flour, Jen.
Oh, yeah. I got something they can grind.
Yeah.
Okay, so of course another thing that they say with the narrative is that these kind of sites are carved. And these are not, and Cappadocia is probably Derinkuyu is probably one of the only places that I've looked at that I've thought, maybe that's true. Maybe it's true. Because I've seen videos where the rock is so soft. It's that tough rock, which is ironically named tough whenever it's like one of the softest rocks. But I've seen people put their hand and it just comes off powdery, and they can just like scratch it with something easily. And
all right. Well, let me tell you this. When next time you're looking at Cappadocia, I
don't think that's what it is, though, Jen. By the way, I don't think it was carved. But
what gives it away is the floor. When you start looking at the floors in there, they're bubbled up.
Oh yeah, I know.
They were bubbling up and stuff. Yeah, they're not chiseled or carved. And I think that the chalkiness or whatever that they show is, just it's starting to crumble away from the melt.
Yeah, I mean, the material could have just come extremely brittle and soft through this.
Oh yeah, because we saw that in the cemetery where they look like solid granite slabs, but portions of them were so melted away that they were just so brittle you could just flake it off,
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, but the thing is, tons of these other places that are underground or carved into rock, that are carved into rock underground, are not that soft, tough rock. They're hard ass rock, like the Elora Caves. So this idea is, it's like maybe that one, but that one matches all the other research that I've done that says it wasn't carved. It was part of this event, So I don't believe their story, because the Meltology stories, it fits in that they have to earn my trust basically for a narrative like that, because it's very ridiculous, and they haven't done that. So, okay, so let's see. So the transition bricks zones looking chewed up, the rock curtains, which you can find a lot of these sites that are just really good. You can touch on all of these things because it's all there. But pockets of survival. So that's another pattern that we see. And some of these pockets will look beautiful and new, and they'll still have the facades and have the sculptures and the artwork and the frescoes and all that kind of stuff. But a vast majority or the structure is fused to this quote mountain, and inside the mountain there's tunnels, and again it goes underground. And a lot of times another pattern that we see is that there's some kind of waterworks that's associated with that location, with that site.
Right.
You said, Neg? So, okay.
Setneg is tardy. I got to hit him with tardy.
Don't be tardy for the party.
Okay. So now get to the narratives, and I've touched on a lot of these already, but some of the patterns we see with the damage is that, or with the narratives, is that if it's more damage, they just say it's older. And that was something I discovered early on, Jen, and like one of the first times I watched you said that, and I was like, that's right, I'm not crazy, because I told my husband that. I was like, they just say it's older. They're just telling us it's older to make it make sense, because if it's like, oh, there were wars, there were torture, there's all this crazy complex dramas they're telling us, that's to take our focus. They're stealing our focus. So that we're looking for how in the hell and why would they build it that way? How is it possible? No one said, you're like, my God, that crazy, there were Nazis. So, and that's another thing too. We get these crazy, insane, ridiculous stories that sound unrealistic of these places. But so more damage, older, fortified structures built atop geology that mimics the exact form of the structure. If I worded that to make sense. So it often will say it's a fortified structure, because it's thick with brick, which is another pattern that we see. It's always
thick with brick, baby.
Thick with brick. They say it's carved. That's another pattern. And this has melted steps is also one of the patterns I have on here, but there's several melted steps at this location. In the front, right. Go down even more. It goes to nowhere. The steps go to nowhere. It's in the right there. Yeah.
Melted steps everywhere in this location, by the way. This is in Georgia, and like literally there's melted steps everywhere. You can see the flow of the whole melt and everything. They blame this place on monks.
Yeah, this is a really good location. Yeah, they're melted all over the place. So melted steps is another pattern we see. And then, of course, the geology is also a lie, and it's there. They've created geology, the narrative of geology, in a way to try to make this make sense again. And they like to use their deep time, which is just like deep space, which is deep fake, which you've said before, Jen, and I've said that too. It's like, it's just deep fake. It's deep fake.
Yeah, when I was looking into the geological narrative and their theories, because geology has 3 theories that it's based on. Yes, they are theories. They are not facts. Fun fact, they're not facts.
Exactly.
And I was like, well, where did they come up with millions of years? So I just typed in who came up with millions of years, and sure enough, there's a guy who thought up millions of years. They call it deep time. That's their words, not mine.
Yeah, I mean, some of these sites, they literally will say that it's like sediments floating from a desert thousands of miles away over the ocean, landing, and then more comes, and that happens for thousands of years and just compiles and compiles. Then you get a mountain. It's just like, give me a break. You know, you get this huge rocky landmass from that happening. It's just really ridiculous. I mean, one thing that geology does have right is that all of these rocks were formed through extreme heat. That's something they all agree upon.
Yeah.
You know, of course you know what I mean? They have to admit that. And so they also say that
the extreme heat that they're talking about is the Big Bang and the formation of the Earth itself, which you can't have a Big Bang in the vacuum of space. So they've already contradicted themselves there.
Well, they say that the like vast majority of rocks on the on our planet are from volcanoes. That it's basically magma.
Oh yeah. They spit out
magma. You know.
Yeah. They spit out brick.
So volcanoes are another pattern that we see to excuse this these weird formations and the weird structures that are intertwined with this weird rock formation is volcanoes. They like to use volcanoes. Tombs, we said that earlier. Wars and fires. They love the
asteroids. Asteroids will come in and fuck some shit up.
Asteroids, yeah. Or they simply just do not address the damage, which is whenever I made that very first video, all those locations, I was trying to figure out what the hell are they saying? What are they telling people whenever people go visit this place? What are they, how are they making that? They just don't address it.
They don't. They slap a plaque on it, give it an outline narrative, and that's it. A historical narrative. History, his story, and geology go hand in hand with each other. Yeah. You would think that archaeologists and geologists would slam into each other right at these locations. You know, like, what are you doing here? What are you doing here?
Yeah,
it's the meldologist over here.
Yeah, and I mean, there are tons of places where there's still kind of a debate over whether it's
natural or geologic, or not geologic or archaeological, because they can't tell.
Yeah, it's just so there's a lot of them. Okay, hold on, I bumped my iPad, and sorry if my voice sounds. I've had this like constant like sore throat, frog in the throat for like almost 2 weeks now. So sorry if I sound hoarse and stuff.
Oh, you're good, girl. Take your time.
You sound good.
Okay, good. Let's see. I kind of lost my place, but I don't have one thing I don't have that I was going to text you, Jen, to see if you had any images of, because I'm horrible at finding these, but I've seen countless images of like monolithic or megalithic or the pyramids where you see red brick.
Yeah.
I can never find those pictures on my own. And James has one of the best ones that I saw. I don't know what it's called though. Maybe he can comment and say what it is, but I know he's done several, but I watched a stream of him. It's probably a couple of years ago.
James, if you want to drop a link to the pyramids with the bricks exposed there, that would help if you could do that. If you have access to that picture or something like that, or a link to the picture, something.
Yeah, like he's done some really good streams that kind of just focus on this megalithic, monolithic locations.
Fervent Heat had a picture up the other day of a melted structure that had literally looked like a vein of brick going through it. Like you would see a vein of what they call quartz, which quartz is just mortar.
Yeah.
But it looked like a vein of brick. It was so crazy.
I've seen, there's tons of those. I mean, there's huge, like this one here. They don't say that's brick, guys.
Right.
They don't
but
say
then you can see it was definitely brick. Like it was red with mortar all through it and just a vein of it like squishing around, but it was still all intact. It was crazy.
Yeah. It's crazy. And like this little, it's like pinched up. You see how it's squished? It pinched up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Pinched up the ground. So this picture, and I don't know if the next one's going to be in order, but these were coming at the end, basically pointing out that geology is playing a role in this. And that once you have eyes to see this melt, you look at geology a different way and it becomes apparent. You don't need someone to tell you that went to college for multiple years to come and tell you this floated across the ocean for thousands of years and deep time took place. And you get this thing that looks like a bunch of bricks laid up and jumbled up and melted down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
you don't need someone else to translate it for you, what you're seeing.
They're selective sedimentary layers. They settle wherever they want.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just, yeah. So let me see if that's it. Let's see. Oh, I'm lost in my notes.
You know, what's interesting is when you zoom in on that, Curtis, go towards the water there. It looks like Giant's Causeway. It looks like they're starting to form that pillowed out, kind of roundish, almost going octagonal. When you look at the motherboard under a microscope, the layers of the motherboard, I showed it on one of our motherboard shows, microscopic, it looks like that. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, there's still other things that I didn't touch on that are like a little bit obviously more advanced. So again, this was just to try to keep it really simple and really short and concise. I've rambled way a lot here. That's why I would have to like edit and just stick right to my script or my like kind of bullet points on what I wanted to say. Because I didn't touch, well, we haven't gotten to the pictures yet, but as we get there, we can talk about it, about the mud flood connection and that kind of stuff. But look at that. And I've got several pictures, I think on this laptop I'm on right now, that are geological, quote, geological formations. And it looks straight up like that top layer there, but the whole wall's like that. It'll be a whole beach. Yeah. In England or something.
In England, I was just going to say that because when we were on with Martin Leedick from Flat Earth British, he had brought some stuff from the beaches there in England, and I think he's from Wales. So somewhere in around England and Wales there, the beaches, and that's all it was just huge, like, I don't know, 100-foot cliff faces of just these, what you just described.
Yeah, it just looks like vitrified brick that's all fused together now. And I mean, something else that I would like to point out whenever I make this is there are many people now that have become aware of this lie. Yeah, they are. That have all become aware that are filming this kind of obvious geological architecture, such as Pants on the Ground, I Am Karos, or Melted Reality, just to name a few. So there are several people that aren't seeking these out, because some people can say it's AI or whatever, which any of these that I've shown, you can reverse image search. And actually on my thing, I'm going to put the name of each location in the bottom, because I know how to do that now. I've been practicing, I've been learning.
Yeah, good girl.
So, because it's like, these are real places you can go, and actually tons of the really good pictures I find by searching this location. Once I come across a cool image of a location, then I find the name of that place. And then I go to the tourist images. If I wanted to go like sightsee there, the tons of tourists will upload their pictures. And that's where you get
I love looking at tourist stuff, even tourist videos. You'll find people who went there and walked through this stuff like on their own time,
100%. And anyone that is ever wanting to research this, if they don't know where to start, I would castles are a great place to start. Castles are perfect. All this other stuff they've named as cliffside dwelling, and they've named as this, named as that. But if you just go to castles or castles on a mountain, you're going to find tons of images.
Yep.
Look at that. Yeah, this is the one with the melted steps, because I did
that's melted as fuck.
But yeah, you can see the melted steps there. Like, look, why would you build it right there? It's so dangerous.
Well, melted steps were a thing back then,
My God.
And so was janky windows and doors.
Yeah, they would say natives, just like at Matera, Italy. They'll say natives built these, or these primitive people or ancient people, whatever, built these little dwellings inside the cliff. Like, I would never let my husband build that and say, hey, we're going to raise our kids here. I'd say, are you crazy?
Here's some janky melted steps for you to climb up.
Like, that's so dangerous. Why would you ever live there?
Just looking at it, when you pull back away from it, you could see the melt, like just melt like ice cream right there for sure.
Yeah, you can see.
It's like, how did we never even see it before? But this is the deception that they had over us from a very, very young age. This is why we're taught this kind of stuff. Even volcanoes are taught to us at a very young age. You're not learning about that shit in fucking high school and stuff.
Yeah, and that is all theoretical. Volcanoes.
Yeah. You don't have the capacity to critically think at that age to ask the questions you should be asking. It's just being fed into your brain.
They're just imprinting it. They're imprinting it and creating this restrictive
anchor narratives.
Glasses.
They're anchoring it. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. They are pros at what they do. And to untangle all those damn knots they've put in people's psyche is very hard, but that's what makes people like me and y'all feel so passionate and so compelled, because once you untangle it, it's very easy to see. It's obvious.
So easy to see. Yeah. It's a little overwhelming, but you go through it. Everybody goes through it. You just can't believe that these were really all buildings, but yes, they were, and that means there was a lot of freaking people here at some point.
And the things were good.
We're not told about.
Yeah, and things were good. People were living good here. They were taking their time. They were making frivolous, beautiful things to live in. Things were good. People were living
doorknobs and
optimally.
stuff, and gutters outside of buildings with fancy little things like we saw in what was it, Lowell, I think, City Hall.
Yeah. It's just
Yeah.
Oh, is that the one? That's not the last one. Look at that wall. Look at that. And so once you see this too, something else worth mentioning, once you see this, then you also see the other formations that are around this supposed carved one, and they have the same forms and a lot of times the same little pockets on them as well, because they were also structure. So something else that I had at the beginning of this is that one thing that meltologists have discovered is that most, if not all, mountains are melted buildings. Every mountain that I've investigated, like Nemat, I don't know how you pronounce it, but it's spelled like Nemat. It's got those giant statues at the very, very tippy top. It's in Turkey, but it's got these huge statues, these big, like the head is like 9 foot tall or something, and the heads are off the bodies now. Anyway, I was like, let me check this mountain out. I bet there's pockets of survival and ruins embedded into that mountain. And I'll be damned, yes, there were. Not only that, the lake nearby, this big, massive lake, also had structure they recently found. And not far from there was a big, quote, mountain that was a pyramid. And I got a video of an archaeologist checking it out and being like, this is man-made. This is
nice.
Man-made. Yes.
Nice.
All
I love
in the
it.
same location. It's just like, come on, guys. Like that's the pattern that you see. So that makes me think that the temples and because the temples, the pyramids, all these old world mystery structures that the people just disappeared and nobody knows what the hell, why the hell it's there, also have the same damage, and they're in relation as far as their construction, as if they were part of the same civilization. They have the same damage.
The same system, the same motherboard grid system.
Yes, I think so. Because some people place, and I could be wrong, this is just me speculating, but some people place those temples and the pyramids and all that at a pre-flood time. That those were the buildings of the giants, that whole horrible time before the flood. Yeah. And the Bible is a great place, even if you don't believe the Bible and you think it's all BS, which I don't trust all of it. I am so quick. I'm very what's the word? Not trigger happy or trigger shock. Anyway, it's so hard for me to trust anything that is mainstream, and the Bible is mainstream. So I am very cautious, but I tell you what, I can go to the Bible, and I've been doing it recently because I've been having some issues, and you can hold it and ask a question, open it up anywhere, look down, and by God, I got chills. It will answer your question like it is alive. It is physical. Flip you out. And you could go to that same scripture 10 years from now, and it would also apply to whatever you're asking. It's so crazy, but
anyway. And the melt is in the Bible. It's in there.
Yes. That's
one of the only places I found it where it's descriptive that God melted the earth with fervent heat. He melted the inhabitants. He melted the cities. He melted the buildings. He melted mountains. Okay, what's a mountain? Did they switch that word out? I don't know, but maybe, it's a mountain of something that he melted.
That's it. But we cannot throw out the baby with the bathwater. You can read the Bible and feel that it's old world.
Stuff.
You can feel that it's old world.
Here. I mean, 1 + 1 is 2, right?
Yeah, it makes more sense. Okay, you don't have to trust all of it, but it's a better reference to what we're trying to figure out about where we came from, who we are, than academia. Academia and the media do not match. The Bible makes more sense. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Always
it describes the flat earth.
Always keep your wits.
The first page of the Bible tells you the earth's flat. God created it.
Exactly. It constantly brings me back to it. Brings it like I'm just kind of like, I don't think I can call myself a Christian. Like, am I a Christian? That's like calling myself an artist. Like, am I qualified to call myself an artist?
You can find the flat earth, Mandela effect, and the melt in the Bible.
Yeah. It's all there. And not only that, Jen, you don't have to trust the Bible. You can look to the old worlders to tell you through their artwork, through their sculpture. Jesus and the saints are all there. All these demon and giants, chimeras, they're all there too. The old world, you don't need professional experts to tell you what happened then. It's all on the artwork. It's all in the artwork. It's all there. Why did they have God and the saints walking around in these glorious buildings that are now melted? Like, what's going on there? Why would they do that? We're not doing that now. Like the message is in. That's why they're dumbing us down and giving us shitty ass art. That's a toilet. that mutt toilet or whatever, or putting a banana on the wall, all this shitty, they want you to not see that and not see the message. They don't want you to speak that language anymore. And they don't want you to speak the language of gender identity. I mean, it's like they've got us so effed up in the head. They have Jedi mind tricked us into oblivion. Most people are Jedi mind tricked. I'm getting ranty.
That's what it's all about. Confusion. He's the father of lies and confusion.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I was screaming there. I get really
no, let it out, girl. You're good. We got 42 people here.
Do what?
We got 42 people here.
Oh, awesome. Hey, everybody.
Yes.
I'm just
everybody's loving it.
But yeah, this is a really good image of some melted steps. And I wonder too, whenever you look at these melted steps, just like the one I showed from Matera and Delora Caves, it looks as if possibly someone was on the step whenever it melted, and they, like this one, you can see like maybe they stepped higher up and they came down and then they sat and boom, 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 and then they were vaporized. You know what I mean?
That interesting.
Yeah, and you also, like the Elora Cave one, there's two areas that are melted on the steps, and it looks like maybe two people are walking. Like, tons of these. It'll look like you can start imagining, like reverse it. Like, how did it become like this? Yeah, and you can start seeing this kind of. You see how I'm talking about? Like they were step, ooh, ooh, and they like fell and.
Yeah. And their excuse for this archaeologically, historically, is that it's just foot traffic. They had a lot of soldiers running up these steps. Well, look at your subway steps. Look at your Capitol buildings. All the people that run up and down those steps, everything. They're fine.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, they've gone to where.
Give me a break.
Yeah, exactly. They can explain these things away with such nonsense because they have such authority that people just believe it. If UNESCO says so, or it's printed in an academic book, they have the authority. They say so, and people just believe it. It's magic.
Yep.
It's insane.
They compartmentalize everybody's positions, and they've compartmentalized the authority itself. So when we look at it like, well, okay, his historian is telling you that this is the narrative for this, and I'm not a historian. I don't have the credentials for that. He went to umpteen years of school to get this thing. He knows, and he's not going to lie to us, so that must be what it is. So that compartmentalized truth right there is all packaged for you.
Yes, because we are so dumb, us peasants, that we need some authority figure to tell us what the hell we're seeing. That's what we need. We can't do that on our own. And they condition you and groom you as a child to not believe your own lying eyes, that you need an authority to tell you what you're seeing. Yeah, look at this rock here. Why would they build that there? And there are so many beautiful buildings, and some of them Gothic. Because one of the other theories I've heard, Paul from Understanding Conspiracy, who I adore, he's so good at what his speech is like butter. He's so good at talking. But something that he's pointed, one of the things he theorizes is that this meltdown cataclysm or something. I'm not trying to put word in his mouth. This is kind of what I've gathered. Basically, that the Gothic structures are millennial reign, and the other structures that are not Gothic structures, architectural, the style of Gothic, which is like the points and the spheres and stuff like that, or spires, that the other ones are damaged, and that they were part of before, like during the tribulation time and before that biblically, and that once millennial reign happened, the people that were living during the millennial reign, they took over those buildings that are destroyed and not Gothic. And then they built these even better versions, which are the Gothic, with the rose windows and the spires and all the points and all this kind of stuff.
Maybe, and that would make sense to a point. That would make sense for you, because after the millennial reign, when they built this stuff, there would have been another God's judgment. And then Lucifer is loosened for this short time. And then after this, which we are at the end of the short season, don't get it twisted, there will be a final judgment, because if it is cyclical, then there would be at least 4 other, I think, events, in my opinion.
Well, the point that I was making was that this is like a Gothic style structure, and there's that other amazing make you melt Gothic structure that's in Colombia. And it's like white, and I was in my very first video, but it's built into it's like in a ravine between 2 big mountains, and there's mountains behind, but it's fused and melted to the side of this mountain there, and it's clearly Gothic, and it's got Christian, Christian artwork and motifs going in and out all around it, but it's fused into the mountain. So unless they added this stuff to make it Gothic style, or they just fused into stuff Gothic style, but that was millennial reign, to me, it tells me, what it signals to me is that all of these structures were part of this grand civilization, biblical or not, which I think the Bible is true, a vast majority of it. But regardless of, without that, these were all part of the same civilization. Then the cataclysm affected all of these structures. I mean, they could have built stuff afterwards. I'm not saying that, but you know what I mean? I'm saying that I think the Gothic structures were part of the same civilization as before the meltdown, is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
And some people theorize the Gothic structures came only during the millennial reign. But yeah, there was another meltdown after the millennial reign, which it doesn't state in the Bible, but it does say, because it goes like,
well, they can't state that because they can't state the millennial reign happened. So they took that out, which means that God's judgment would have come out as well. When Jesus died on the cross, there was a cataclysm in the sky, the thunder. Yeah. It seemed like the earth cracked open or something like that.
The sky
I think that, if they left the whole millennial reign out and the loosening of Lucifer, we think we're somewhere else in that timeline where we're still waiting for Jesus to come back. And then after that, 1,000 years ahead of us, supposedly, is the short season of Satan. So they got us way back here when we're already up at the other end.
Yes, this is what I think, and this is what matches. So basically, it would be millennial reign, and then Satan is released, which I think is what may have been this meltdown cataclysm.
Yeah,
that him entering into this realm from the depths below, like shocked the system, burnt shit up. And God allowed it because he's playing a part, because we need a reset, and only people that seek this information can see it.
Yeah.
So there's hints there, but only if you seek it. Yeah. And that's what I think is going on. But regardless, it's millennial reign, Satan's little season, and then the Gog and Magog, and then a meltdown is mentioned in the Bible, and then the heaven and the final heaven, or the last judgment, final heaven, and the new earth and new heaven.
There'll be a final judgment, and then a new heaven and a new earth.
Because some people, Shelley from There's No Place Like Home, and people have been ditching her because she's become basically believes that the whole Bible is basically a history book, and that the whole Bible has already happened, and we are in the new heaven and the new earth now.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, it still seems like there's Satan and it's still evil, and it feels more like Satan's little season to me personally. But the new heaven and the new earth could just be like the covenant with God. Basically, whenever you die, you just go straight to heaven.
We're in the new heaven and the new earth. It would not, in my opinion, it would not be the way it is. Okay,
I agree.
There's too many signs to tell us right where we're at. I mean, you can't ignore them.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But if that's what she thinks, that's fine. I mean, that's not my business. I'm staying in my lane over here.
No, yeah, of course. I mean, I didn't bring her up to I respect her, and I still watch her stuff, even though she says stuff I don't agree with, because she's very deep thinking, and very she gets you thinking. She gets you questioning things, which we should. We shouldn't just be complacent with what we think we know, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, that, I mean, in the Bible, after the Gog Magog, it's like a specific, meltdown. Everything gets melted the hell down, which is what it looks like here. But there's meltdowns and fervent heat in other places biblically, so it doesn't have to be that's, what we're seeing here or whatever. But another thing, though, I would like to point out is, just biblically, if you're looking at that, the Gog and Magog, it says that there's like the camp of the saints will be surrounded by the numbers, the sand of the sea. And I've pointed this out in chat so many times, but I think those numbers is like, how would we get those numbers? Because we can still count how many people are here today. I mean, apparently, based off what they tell us. I wonder if that number, the sands of the sea, is not AI. And all the damn robots and weapon shit that they're making, that could create an army, the sands of the sea, to attack the camp of the saints, which could be the aliens or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So just a thought, but I'm like, they could do that, like it wouldn't take much time for them to gather an army, the sands of the sea, with AI and all this tech that they've created.
And they can do it all underground.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure they are actually, I mean, if you've ever watched any of those like weird robotic military stuff that they've come up with, it's trippy.
Oh yeah, and that ain't nothing compared to what they really have. So
exactly, that's just the toys that they're showing us.
Right.
Anyway, let me see. I think that was basically some other stuff that I covered. We can just go through the rest of the pictures, but that I didn't really necessarily point out was that I think this old world was maybe this was Atlantis, or like with the Oriolinda books, just like the Oriolinda and the Bible are the two main things that for me resonate as like, yeah, this seems like what was going on, was the Oriolinda.
Okay, so let's elaborate on this Oriolinda. Now tell us about what this is and where people can find it.
So I would say I've only listened to, I haven't read the whole book. First off, it's a very dense, hard to read book. And there's a lot of debate on whether or not this thing is authentic, but to me, it seems authentic. Like if you research it, everything that you see to me rings out as authentic. And this was an artifact from the old world. This seems very sophisticated and genuine. And the message to me resonates as like, yeah, it seems like what it was like. So basically it was a world, this beautiful, wonderful world, like Atlantis, like the millennial reign. Everybody's happy. Everybody knows their place. Everyone's optimal. No one's rushing around and hurting each other and stuff. And they're living in these glorious structures and stuff. And actually they, women, like virginity to women was a very sacred thing, as it should be. Damn, it should be. So these women, these special women that would maintain their virginity and had all this love in their heart, they became like almost like mentors to the society and stuff. So anyways, basically at some point, this society gets interrupted by the magi, these others, these foreigners, these little hat type of people come in. They start corrupting the children, corrupting these virgin girls and all this kind of stuff. And before you know it, it's hell in a handbasket and everything falls apart. But all the details that because I've listened to different readings of the Oriolinda. I haven't read the whole book, like I said, but I've listened to different readings, and there's a really great channel called Ashes Logos on YouTube. He does really phenomenal, well-researched, very well-produced work, and he's way underrated, and he should have way more subscribers. But he did a good video on Oriolinda, and actually when I first started listening to y'all, Jen, SHEPU, we were messaging back and forth on Facebook, and I brought up the Oriolinda, and anyway, I mentioned Ashes Logos, and he hadn't heard of that channel. So he checked it out, and then y'all did a stream not long after that, and he played a section from the Oriolinda. So the Oriolinda also discusses these massive cataclysms, these huge, complete erasure of the civilization, and that the next civilization is completely ignorant to it, and that there's like a collective amnesia that takes place. And I think that's what we got going on now, which is something I put in my notes. Not only collective amnesia, but there would have been extreme trauma from the people. Yeah. If anybody that would have survived, you would not want to have had to talk about how you watched everyone you know and love and the rest of the world vaporize away, get burnt to a crisp as the whole world melted away. You would not want to talk about that. It'd be very easy if you had some dark intentions to come in and manipulate and guide those people away. Like, it's okay now. We're not going to discuss it. Everything's cool, and it would have been easily forgotten, because within that generation, once that generation is gone, and if you have other people telling you something else, bada boom. Yeah. Oh, that was another thing I just want to point out, that I made notes in here about the who, how, when, where. So when did this happen? When did this cataclysm happen? My theory, and what I think a lot of us come across, is it could have been as little as 200 to 300 years ago. It could have been much longer, but it could have been 200 to 300 years.
Definitely within the last 500 years, for sure.
Do what?
Definitely within the last 500 years.
Yeah.
If you had to do a ballpark, but if you want to narrow it down, I would have to say 250 to 300 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. So how would we come up with the estimation? Well, one, the foliage, the way the foliage is growing consistently, it seems to be we can kind of measure that. Stratigraphy can kind of tell us a little bit, like the Gunnar Heinz and stuff, that Paul and them talk about. But more so for easier, keeping it country simple, the artwork. The runes, paintings, y'all, like out of the blue nowhere, and like towards the end of the 1600s, into the mid 1800s, suddenly it's a cool thing to do, to paint ruins that you're stumbling across, and to have people going like this and pointing and trying to figure out and obviously showing
while they're looking at melted buildings.
Yes, putting like sealing up the openings in these melted beautiful structures with wood that's all janky, just put up, with having their cows in there. They don't even know what to do with it. Like, I guess we can put our animals in there whenever it rains. And you can tell these people don't match and that these are found ruins. And we're told, because I went to art school, I was in art school for 10 years. I've got 2 masters in art history and studio arts. But I was told that these were all fantastical artworks.
Yep. Yeah.
These people were just dreaming and making romantic paintings about made up ruins of some future possible events. Like, these ruins still exist. Whenever I did that stream with y'all, I showed you side by sides. These ruins still exist, and the people are questioning, making gestures. They're telling us that's the message. That's the news article. That's the photograph. They're telling us that we're finding these structures. Suddenly, they're like, "Oh shit! This was only 10 miles from our building or from our town. No one noticed this thing. What the hell is that? Who lived there? Why is it up on that mountain, all messed up looking? You know." That gives us a huge clue. That tells us that somewhere around 200 years ago, people were discovering these sites. And why do I also believe that true? Because we're still discovering them. You know?
That's right.
We're still finding them. We're still the survivors of survivors that are trying to figure this shit out. Just because we have authorities whispering in our ears, it doesn't make it true, you know? Anyway.
Freya, your background in art.
Do what?
Your education in art is
Yes.
a huge asset to Meltology.
Oh, well, thank you.
Can you tell everyone what your background in art is?
Yeah, I
impressive.
One thing I always tell people, because I'm a tattoo artist too, and people are like, "Oh, did you learn how to do art?" Or my, not adult famous, but adults will think like, "Oh, you went to college for art, that's why you know how to do art." It's like, let me get this straight.
Mm-hmm.
They don't teach you in college how to be a skilled artist. They don't. They teach you about fancy schmancy bullshit concepts, and they teach you how to play the game of getting along. You can make crap. If you're obsessive at making crap, you're going to be a good artist. And if you have connections. So they didn't teach me. They gave me a venue. I loved it. I thrived. I thrived in art school. But it gave me a venue to obsessively focus on what I love and what I'm passionate about and get feedback. It was a feedback loop for me. That's all it was. I didn't make projects they told us to and all this stuff. I just did what I wanted and I got feedback. And they let me do it because I was pretty darn good. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I never called myself an artist until at the end of college because so many people were like, oh my God. And it was like, okay, I can call myself that. Same with Christian. I don't feel that I've earned that title yet. Anyway, so I've always painted. I went to SFA I went to 3 different universities. I started at a junior college, got my basics, went to another college, and then I went to SFA in Nacogdoches, Texas. And I got my Master's of Arts, which is a master's in studio arts, which studio arts means that you're making art physically. And then I got my MFA. Basically, it's like a doctorate of studio arts, but it also then includes art history. So,
unbelievable.
So I could teach, and I actually taught at the university. I taught 3 different. So I taught drawing and design 1 at the university, and I was also like, I've got a pretty impressive resume. I mean, for whatever that is, because I mean it's still hard for me to get a job as like a professor or something like that at a university. But I taught there for 3 years, and then I was also invited to teach at a professional educators retreat. So I was teaching high school teachers how to teach children. And then I also was invited to do like puppet making. So I make puppets and marionettes and wood carving and all this weird, creepy stuff. Like my art now, I don't even, like, I try to keep it hidden from my kids because it'd probably give them nightmares. Like I've had my daughter tell me before, like, I don't like your creepy drawings. Like, why do you make them creepy? And I'm like, I'm not trying to make them creepy. They just come out that way. So I just kind of keep them concealed. And I've even told my husband, I'm like, oh, I feel like demons are talking to me sometimes. But what I think is actually happening is I'm tapping into this collective, uncomfortable ickiness that we all feel. And I'm kind of bringing it forth, but then I make it kind of cute and kind of enduring and seductive. You know what I mean? So it's like, just look, this is the reality, So anyway.
I love this photo. This is one of my favorite ones. I mean, guys, this is like some row homes. Or this could be somebody's mansion. I mean, there's a garage right there. You just pull up and go into your house. It's a melted house.
3-car garage right here.
Yeah.
Loft over the garage. Yeah.
Just crazy. Yeah, this is one of the ones that I was using for the example of like a monolithic carved example, you know.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And even you could see on this right side on that tower shape.
Yeah.
On the bottom left there. Sorry, I'm starting to like lose my voice. Sorry if I sound scratchy, but it looks drippy.
Yeah, that to me is a door with like 3 windows going over it. You know, it's probably like you go in and there's a spiral staircase or something.
Yeah. That's something else too I've been looking into, and I was going to make a video on, and I've started the video, but on the asylums, if you look at the history as to why they built these grand structures for asylums, I know we've texted back and forth, Jen, about this topic, but the spiral staircases and the like double staircases, they say because they were trying to help people, and being in a beautiful place out in the middle of nowhere is how you fix, you know, a sick mind. And it's like, yeah, but once you got the people there, you were torturing them and they were all dying and pissing on themselves. Like,
yeah, well, there's no water, there's no toilet paper, there's no electricity.
Yeah, it's out in the middle of nowhere where you're having to haul all of these. Anyway, asylums are a whole nother thing. And I think asylums, again, were part of the same civilization as this structure right here. But this one got damaged. And why? I don't know. We could theorize all day. Maybe they had surge protectors. Maybe they weren't so bad, you know, as the other people, and it was some kind of God's judgment. There's a lot of reasons that it could be, a lot of theories anyway. But I think this was part of the same civilization. And this was the same civilization as the underwater structures that we find, you know. So we do know in this research, and not just this truther niche, but throughout, we do know that the whole layout of this realm is completely different. Like it was likely more some kind of Pangea, maybe the 4 corners were the 4 sections with the 4 rivers running through, and whenever this shake-up meltdown happened, it kind of pushed them out, and some crashed into the flooding that took place, which is now our ocean type of deal.
Yes, I agree.
Anyway, let's see.
You know, if you want it, you just got to get in there and get it, Freya.
What do you mean?
I don't know what I mean. It's throw that out there. Keep going. You're doing good.
I notice, like, I get real comfortable, and then I'm like, I get all ranty, and then I'm like, God bless it, Ashley. Bring it back.
I love it. I just love it. You're doing awesome.
All right. Thank you. Well, let's see. So I think I read all these. Maybe as more pictures come up. Was that there should still be more pictures, right?
Oh yeah, it's a lot.
Well, let's keep moving them. We'll keep going.
Yeah, keep moving.
Look at this real quick though. There are so many like this, and I've put together identical side-by-sides of structures that are still intact, that aren't damaged and turned to stone like this, that have this exact same pattern. This exact same I guess it's not a mosaic, but this impression.
Yes, like, they have these in cathedrals and all the other, like you see them in Rome and in France, and the arches and everything. They almost seem to be like some kind of like a speaker system, like it resonates sound back down or something, some kind of frequencies. Yeah. I'm not sure, but it's really interesting, this pattern, and you do see it on a lot of other sites as well. Here on this site, it's all melted.
Which at the same
like that.
Yeah, at the same location, and I believe this is in Cappadocia as well. But there are other, because I this was on one of the videos I did with Old World Exploration with Chris. This location, and there's other ones in the same area, they say are caves and carved, but they have the same Greco-Roman features, and they have ceilings too like this, but they still have the frescoes on them. Like the artwork, the painting is still on the structure. It's kind of peeling in areas, but it's like, it doesn't look like they came in later and painted it. It looks like the painting, you just have a little bit that it's faded out. You know, it got worn out during the cataclysm, but there's still some left you can see. Because they had like an actual fresco, like whenever you do a fresco, like a lot of times the old world frescoes would be done with using egg whites and pigment. And so once it dries, it becomes like a glue to the surface, and it becomes part of the surface. And so those frescoes, it seems like they survived. A lot of them survived this cataclysm. So.
Wow.
Yeah, look on the left side up at the top on that top square tower thingy. You see the lines going, horizontal lines? No, on the left one, the one next to it that looks like it's just natural.
Oh, right here.
Yeah, see the lines there?
Right here.
Like, what the hell? They carved those in? And there's tons of examples like that. Where I've got some from Arizona in this group. But they say they built all this, blah, blah, blah. But then there's a big side of the, quote, mountain that has a huge archway that's not carved through. It's just, and you can tell it's flowing down. It's like a remnant, you know. It's like, so did they carve those unfinished areas that look like these architectural features that we see from this old world research, you know?
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Like even on this one, like look to the right of it, and you see the carved in area beside the column, and then all the other stuff that looks like there's carved in elements, like a pediment, like the pediments, you know, or like the triangle shapes with the sculpture. It looks like there was maybe a pediment or something to the right there, up higher. Yeah, that's right under the 69. Like that's one side to the pediment, possibly.
But you can see it's melted away. You can see the flow of the melt coming down, you know. And this is not from weathering and all this other stuff. This is clearly an arid area that this is in.
Yeah.
It's like Petra's melted. That's all it is. It was a brick city that got melted. It wasn't carved. It's melted. It's not petrified. It's meltified.
Yeah, the weathering narrative or the carved narrative is not consistent. Look at the column on the top left. Look at that one there, and look at that column here compared to the other ones that still have their straight edge.
Yeah,
so the wind did that, or they had some shitty drunk person carving that column. You know what I mean?
Acid rain.
Yeah, it's not consistent with the narrative. So the patterns of their narrative, the patterns they have are only this deception, like, oh, so you're going to say this? Okay, that doesn't make sense, you know?
Yeah, make it make sense.
Yeah, I got to make it make sense.
Wow.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? And I think this was like unearthed. I think they dug it up. But look at that. My gosh. How would you ever
almost reminds me of the labyrinth that they say is under Egypt, around the pyramids. They're supposed to be like, you know, like that would be ground level right there where it's all melty on top. And then this labyrinth thing is underneath.
I believe it. Wow. I mean, they dug out the pyramids. The pyramids were buried too. Rome was buried like 45 feet. You know, the famous city of Rome that we all know today.
Yeah, up until the 30s, guys. 1929, they were still digging that shit out. And I covered that. Yeah, it's craziness.
That's right, because they just discovered it. They had just discovered it, you know, that all the ruins paintings, again, like this is all new discovery. This is we're just a few generations in of discovering.
For sure. Yeah.
Like how could
we're a few generations in, we're about 10 generations into the short season of Satan, but I do feel like if we're talking millennial reign time frame, if it ended in the 1500s and then there was a God's judgment and then Lucifer was loosened to go forth and deceive the nations, there has to be nations to deceive, and nations takes people. You know, you can't have a nation without people. So that means there would have had to be the repopulation program, as well as the cleaning up, scouting, and all this other stuff, taking down, you know, getting narratives together, pictures, all this timeline stuff to put forth to that generation that he's going to go forth and deceive in these nations. You see what I'm saying? So there had to be an in-between time as well, of a certain amount of generations of people as well that did all that, which I call them the in-betweeners. Yeah, 1776 is when they say is the marker date for him being loosened. That's the Statue of Liberty. That's the tablets that he's holding, breaking his chain, stepping off of his star fort, which he is the morning star, Lucifer. He was in chains, and the Statue of Liberty have chains on her feet.
Yeah. Yeah, that it makes sense. So this one I had included whenever I was going to mention that you see these structures not just fused in with the geology, but becoming the geology. They have the same forms, and they'll have these melted pockets, these archways and windows that you can tell are in line and in pattern with the rest of the structure that's still intact. And that waterway is probably a busted waterway from whenever the meltdown happened. And I think, and I've mentioned this before, but I think the flood, this great flood that happened, was a busting of the pipes. Whenever the meltdown happened, the water just flowed freely and had everywhere to go. And it just flooded up and probably some collapsed. And then I think it was so hot, it was so incredibly hot so quickly that it cracked the firmament. Like I think the firmament is probably some kind of like, you know, almost 100% oxygen type of ice. And whenever you put extreme heat against ice, it cracks. So it cracks, and what happens then? The waters from above flood in and cool the shit down.
It rained for 40 days and 40 nights.
Yes, and then
like
and
a
then,
sprinkler system, you know.
And once you had that temperature regulate, once it cooled, once the heat was cooled down enough by the water, it regulated. It allowed the firmament to seal itself back up because there's water. So water's going to freeze, and so now we have this scar in the sky from it. And in the Bible, it says like the sky opened up like scrolls. I think that was a scroll,
right?
This
is a really good pick. One of my faves.
Isn't that crazy?
They just scooped up a bunch of sedimentary layers, lifted them up, and then built that under it, and then plopped them back down.
Of course. Why? Yeah. If we lived like
what else could it be?
300 years ago, why wouldn't you do that?
I'd never seen this one before.
Really? This is an epic one. This is an oldie but a goodie right here.
Well, I was going to see
everybody's used this picture.
I had never seen it. I never saw it anywhere. I found it.
Just this is a good one. I love this one. Cool.
I was going to see.
Layers my ass.
I believe it's in Germany, but it may be France. I could be wrong. It could be Germany or France. But yeah, I found a few that were like this, that were like these just big megalithic boulders piled up with like random columns and little section of brick.
Yeah. The rest of the building's gone. It's disintegrated away.
Yeah, I think so. So, oh yeah, let's see. Oh, that's Wassenberg Rock is what the name of that one. Wassenberg Rock.
The size of these blocks.
I know. Can you imagine getting them up there? Like if they would have built this according to the narratives they told us. How in the world would they get them up there? Like with pulleys? And look, they're like flush. They're flush with the other big boulders and fused to them.
What do these things weigh? 50,000 pounds? I mean,
yeah, no telling. I know. I wish there was I love whenever I find these sites and there's humans, because the scale is always like way bigger. It's hard to tell with photos. You never get, the size is never given justice with photographs, but geez. And you can see the horizontal lines on that, the ones below it and stuff, and how it was
right here
in areas. Yeah.
Oh,
it's crazy.
Insanity.
But yeah, you can go to the next picture if you want. It's crazy. Yeah, I've never seen this one before I found it.
I've never seen any of these.
Oh, really? Nice. Yeah, I come across a lot of the ones I've already used in my other videos. So I tried with this one to do ones I hadn't used or I hadn't seen before. But there's so many that I've used before that are just like, oh, chef's kiss. But I want to keep it fresh. But yeah, this is another good example of it becoming like the geology, that this little section, this area here with the corner, that's like, it's become the geology. So if their narratives to be true, that would have already been there, and they would have built the structure up next to it. It's like people back in the day with no electricity, riding around on donkeys or whatever, were finding these huge geological rock formations and saying, hey, why don't we build a building and carve into that thing and build on top of it and make the shape of our structure match the way the rocks look already.
Right. It's absurd.
Yeah, it's very absurd. It's absurd. And see, that has that kind of chewed up look.
Yeah.
It's thick as brick, but they've all become different sizes. And so it's just like a soup of different boulders and rocks and bricks. And you can see where it looks like it's almost like spilling out over the rounded wall there.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I have the names for all these. Like I said, I put them in my notes, but this one's in Germany. Yeah, I put masonry becoming megalithic / monolithic. So we see this big transition shift, because otherwise it would have had to have happened the way I just described a minute ago, which doesn't make sense.
It's all the same thing. RMFB, all of it.
Yeah, that's right. That was the building block. I mean, that was what was used. It was just like an electric, like a Lego world, this old world Lego world, and their building blocks were these brick, but I mean, they would adorn it and add all this other awesome stuff, you know, to give it like to power it up in whatever way. But you can keep going. I don't know if I had that one. I think I already had that one earlier.
Did we go through them? I might have doubles in here.
Yeah, I think I set that one twice. This is the same location. It's just another image, but it's so crazy. Yeah, see, this is a good example. Yeah, that's crazy looking.
Yeah, look, you can see this continuing. Yeah. This continues down here. It just blurbed out right.
Yeah, that's really good right there.
And it's rock curtaining over that bottom wall below that blob you got your hand on. See, go down, follow that down, and you see the blobbing down over that stone wall. Yeah, right there. Like, come on, give me a break. You can see it. It's like blobbing and fusing and transforming into the same material.
Yes.
Come on.
Yeah, we were on this earlier. I didn't notice this before, though. Yeah. This is the same as this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's right. It went
there's a reason why these pockets of survival were left for us to see.
Yeah, I think so. Mm-hmm. That's how our ancestors are trying to talk to us. It's like they're screaming out from this, from the artwork, from any literature that survives.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah, and look how the shape of the rock formation is the same shape. It's crazy that they would build it and say, let's build our structure to the edge of this rock formation and make it the same shape and make it look like it's the same as this geological formation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Crazy right there. Yeah.
And you can see, that the big wall there that's by the little, I don't know if that's a minaret or a spire, the real big wall, the one to the left a little bit. You can see that the bricks have transformed and they're starting to get like a more rocky texture.
Yeah, looking just like the supposed sedimentary layers below. And if you even go out of this picture and look right down at the foreground, you can see there's more walls coming towards where, the front of the picture.
Yeah.
Right down there.
Yeah, down there. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can see it. It's fused to it. And you can tell those are blocks. You can make out that there's a pattern of blockage going on that we see where it's like the whole
building. Yep. For sure. I love that.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't find a better picture of this one from this angle that was more in focus, but you can make it out even with this blurry. And see, that's almost like Gothic architecture, this style here. And it's clearly damaged.
Are they calling this like the Byzantine era or something?
Yeah, this might be technically Byzantine.
They call it Byzantine, but that was the millennial reign.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and I brought up one time on one of our streams that we did that the Byzantine might have been like after the melt or right before the melt. And the only reason I say that, which you can find them where they're fused in, but it seems to me a lot of the artwork they claim, and this was my point, a lot of the artwork they claim is Byzantine, I think came right after because it's very rudimentary and primitive looking. Like it's like children were drawing it. Like we had lost that connection. It's kind of, I don't want to say junky, but it is kind of junky. It's not as sophisticated as this artwork in this time.
Yeah.
So I think that could have been people trying to document, because it's always saints and Jesus and stuff. I think they were trying to document the previous civilization that was gone now, that they were severed from. So this is another good example of it going from structure to geological formation. Like in that, it's fucking crazy. And you can see you can, especially down from that column. I mean, you can just see it everywhere. I'm to point it out to y'all.
Great.
Clear as day.
The pattern on this castle is crazy.
Yeah, I've never seen this.
You know, with the circles. Yeah. It's almost, it makes me think maybe it's Phoenician or something, or is that like Moorish or something? I don't know.
Moorish, yeah. Moorish,
Which again, I think all these kind of genres of styles were just people's different styles. I don't think the Moorish people were in the millennial reign 300 years before, whatever other genre that you want to mention. I think that they just had different taste, different fashion, different aesthetics, and different artistic skills. And if you look at different regions, like they'll have Greco-Roman stuff in India or whatever, but it'll have these elements that kind of reflect the people a little bit more, than the ones we find in Europe.
Oh, okay.
What's that?
Nothing. Sorry.
Okay.
God.
So here's another one, brick to block, as you can see. What's so funny? I feel like I'm missing an inside joke.
No.
Will right now.
You're doing great, Freya.
Okay. What? If I'm not doing great, snickering. You're great.
I'm laughing. I'm laughing because she's
Keep
laughing.
going. So yeah, you can see here it's all chewed up, brick to block. Like, why would they mix that masonry? I couldn't find that many of the brick walls that have like the balloon rocks in them that the Tartarian meltdown seems to always find.
Right.
I don't know what search term he's prompting, but it's always extremely hard for me to find. But
I find a lot of them doing boots for you. We find a lot of them. Me and Shawnee B out here in New England. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I've seen some of your videos that I can see the balloon rocks, but just finding like a good photo of them. I don't know. I'm not using correct prompts or something, but really I kind of focus in on the pockets of survival and the castles and the more, kind of the big picture.
Right. Look at these columns.
Crazy. Wood. Yeah, it's crazy too. A lot of these locations will have old wood that's still intact, like decorative carved, beautiful wood from one big
100%.
piece. Yeah, and it makes me think that whatever this heat was, it wasn't a traditional heat like people think whenever you say something melted and got hot. It was like they got microwaved, they got zapped.
Correct.
Like some kind of
Plus the wood doesn't conduct. Wood doesn't conduct.
Yeah, exactly.
Neither do bones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think crazy. all these damaged structures we're looking at would have had facades. They would have had artwork, beautiful artwork, probably gold and all kinds of stuff all over. They would have been beautiful. Yeah, but these are stripped down. And yeah, it's just the bare bones now, the damaged bare bones. So you can keep going if you want. This other one just chewed up. This is in England, I believe. It's in the UK for sure, but like, how would you even construct with those materials? I do not get it. And there's other areas that aren't chewed up like this. And it's just perfection, the way that they're built. It's like, how would you build with these pebbles and these rocks and these bricks and create these perfect dimensions and perfect walls, and then cover them with perfect stones? It doesn't make any sense. Like, you would have to have like a soup of all different rocks and somehow make it hold its form long enough to harden to make that perfect.
Correct. Shape. Well, you got the background for you. I got the construction background. I've been building for 27 years.
Nice. Well, yeah.
And I did over a decade in the city, commercial, steel, concrete. It's just completely out of the question. Awesome. It's not even a discussion.
Yeah. I didn't know that about you. You need to make sure and, let that be known with your experience. Like, I know Chris and I am Kairos have worked in construction. They're very knowledgeable. And it's like, make sure
100%.
Yeah. Like, my dad was a carpenter and did a lot of building. And whenever I first moved to Austin after I graduated from college, I worked helping people build in houses and stuff like that. I didn't do it for like 20 years or anything, but I used to help my dad too. Like, if his partner couldn't make it, I would go with him to jobs and help him.
Right. It's a good experience. Yeah.
Wow. Do what?
I said it's a good experience, even going and just helping dad.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Like, where we live now on this ranch, I want so bad to just build a house. Like, I've told my husband, I'm like, if you just get the materials, I will start building and I can outsource. And for stuff I can't do, like plumbing and electric, and my brother-in-law is an electrician, like, we can do this. We don't need to pay out the ass for somebody else to do it. Like, I know I can do it. And if I don't know, guess what? I will teach myself because I want this done. I'm passionate about it and I'll get it done.
All you got to do is pass the inspection, Freya. That's all you got to do, no matter who does it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is crazy.
Yeah, look at that. All those, like, the blocks on the right there.
Once you know what you're looking at, I mean, you just can never get away from it. It's so obvious. And it's just the thing that irks me is that we did not see this before. It's just, how did we miss this, And then you start to really realize the conditioning, the perception, deception, how strong these anchor narratives are and why they teach this to us at such a young age.
Yeah. Like, they literally, like, Jedi mind tricked us, And we see this and we instantly put our brain in the parameters of what's been given, which is, this is old, they were warring, things were crazy then. And so we don't have to make sense of it because we can't make sense of it already. Like, they get us so disoriented. And then at the same time, they're telling us stories, you know?
Yeah.
All these dramas. So this one too, I mean, you can see all the variety of masonry.
So many different levels of heat damage through here. It's crazy.
Yeah, on that left side, it's just like boulders. It's all become like this megalithic, monolithic, and it's fused in. So that was already there, and they partially carved into it, or what are they going to tell us about that, you know?
Or they built up to it. Either way.
Yeah.
Either way,
There's 3 different civilizations that built this.
Yeah, that too, they tell us. Which is ridiculous. Yeah, they just kept adding and carving into it as time went on.
All right, we did, I think maybe I have doubles. Okay, here we go.
Oh.
Some of these comments, people are like, if you need someone to talk on your show, Freya likes to talk. Hope I'm not over talking.
No, you're doing great.
No, definitely not. You're doing good.
Okay. I always try to consciously not be the person that's thinking of what to say while someone, like, I really try to let them finish and soak in everything they're saying, you know, so it doesn't come off that way. I've always been a big talker, but yeah. So this is at the beginning, whenever I first, to start the whole presentation, is that I think that this mud flood is associated with this cataclysm. And I think there was a water flood that took place as well, involved with this cataclysm. And I think it came like I described it a minute ago, where it came, it kind of cooled it down. So a lot of these, some of these big piles of mud, it could have just been the way the water moved before it receded, and it pushed all this mud into these little pockets everywhere. And I have some before and after, because there's tons of stuff that's just covered underground or covered in mud. And I think that's from the flood. But I also do think that a lot of this dirt, I think there is such a thing as dirt and earth. Because for a while I thought, man, what's even natural? Like, what was here first? Which I still don't know what was here first, like before this whole was built. But I do think a lot of this, what we call dirt, is, cremated brick ash from this cataclysm. So tons of it could have just came from that. Not to say that there was no such thing as dirt before that, because I don't know, but I would guess that, because even the structures now that are kind of dwindling and melted away and stuff, they're constantly they're still producing earth and still disintegrating away as we speak, piling up around themselves. Yeah. But again, so some of these big piles, like this one, I don't know, but maybe they could get carried in by the flood that took place. Yeah.
Definitely. I think if a rain bomb hit Sodom and Gomorrah, that location, it's so chalky and just brittled out and stuff that it would wash away and over into the next town and over the next town, Yeah. And then there's your mud flood. Yeah. Building ash. Same as your fire pit. You got all that ash in it from your fire last night and it rains. You got a pile of mud in your fire pit now. Yeah. And it hardens up like cement.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, there's tons of these kind of findings. They're constantly, construction jobs are one of the most common places to find unknown cave systems or buried structure, buried architecture. Whenever they're, doing work to build a road or something like that, they come across this stuff all the time, and you have to know this location. Oh, thank you, Wiley. I appreciate that. But I know sometimes I'm so self-conscious, but like I talk so much with my husband too. He'll go like this, and I'm just like, so he's like, oh, get it out. Spit it out already. I lost where I was going. Thank you, Wiley, though. I appreciate that. So yeah, whenever they're doing this construction work, this is my point. If you don't know the specific location and to look it up, or you don't ask about a specific location in this kind of research, you don't find it because it's just swept under the rug. Sometimes they'll get local archaeologists or anthropologists to come and investigate the artifacts. But a lot of times it's like, oh, well, that was this, that, and the other. Like it's not that important. We'll just take it over here, or it becomes this non-issue that isn't highlighted, when at the same time they're blowing Göbekli Tepe up everyone's butt. you know?
Yeah.
They're blowing these specific sites. It's like, y'all are finding this crap all the time. You're just keeping it under the radar on purpose, you assholes. Like, this stuff is everywhere. And we're on to you, you know? We got
exactly.
So here's another before and after with the dirt. And there are tons of these. And this is a good example because we find these kind of, quote, mountains or hills all over the damn place that they say are natural, you know?
Yeah.
Then we were.
This is Teotihuacan.
Yep.
This looks like Mexico.
Yeah, even at the front of it here, look at the smaller ones. You know, like crazy. So to me, it makes me think if there was a flood, it kind of built up. It caught on those structures. The mud did. You know what I mean? As it was moving through. And so it just piled up there and then it settled. Like the water would have been rushing through, but then it would have got to a point where it was slow. It was more slow and it was settling.
Yeah, and the sediment coming in with it, the building ash is just kind of like washing in and getting clumped up in certain areas as it's drawing back out. It's just getting left behind.
Yeah, it just settled. It just settled there.
Yeah.
I think you showed this one before.
Yeah, I love this picture. Yeah.
But I found this one coming across just like whenever you stepped away from me, like I was telling Curtis, I was trying to find stuff that every time I make a video, I try to find new stuff, you know, and I'm constantly researching. So I have new stuff, but yeah, this one I had never found on my own, but I came across it. So it's just another example. If this dirt would have gotten here through some kind of a accumulation through water moving, it would have caught here because it's in between two areas. So it would have gotten stuck. It would have, you know, it's not infeasible that it could have got stuck there. And they would have already cleaned it off in front of the structure and on the road whenever they were setting up this place, you know. Y'all are so quiet now.
You wouldn't build it like that. You would not build these structures around this wall of mud here.
No. No, how would you get to that side to build it?
And then you could throw some steps in. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. And it's not like there's just one of these too. Like there's a bunch of these pictures with these huge mounds of dirt. So this was one just showing the transition, how they would popcorn out, balloon out.
Yeah. That's crazy right there. It looks like some of them are going like crystallizing, starting to get that like glassy crystalline look to it.
Here's your chisel marks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chisel marks.
Chisel marks my ass.
Yeah, that's exactly what the chisel marks look like. Exactly, Curtis. That section.
Right. That's what they always call it.
You see the nodes? Yeah, on the right there.
Oh,
yeah, it's exactly.
This is electromagnetic dielectric pattern right here. It's a 0 point.
Yeah,
right
look
there.
at that. That's a good one.
I love that when you node, you node.
That's right.
You node. That is correct.
Yeah. That is correct. Wow, this place is cooked.
I know. Look at that.
It's like 5 stories, 4 stories high. I don't know.
And it's like they're all fused together. Like it looks crumbly. It looks like if you were to like, you know, throw enough big rocks at it, it would just crumble to bits. But I guarantee it's fused in together, you know?
Yeah.
But it looks crumbly. And you can see where there's like mortars cooked out. Like at the top, there's like no mortar, but they're still staying together. See? Up the top? Like how would it? And how would you build that way with these random bricks everywhere? I mean,
it's the transition that people get stuck on. They have a really hard time getting over it. I mean, you just have to accept it. It is what it is. Once you know what it is.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, Curtis. That's basically the point of me making this. Like the thing like that I pointed out before. It's like you've got either the Arizona desert, you know, or you've got Cappadocia. This kind of stuff with the structures, like, no, we have structures. We have pockets of survival. And you can see the same damage there on a smaller scale. That's the point. exactly what you just said.
Which, I mean, is kind of understandable. I mean,
yeah, I understand
so
it.
you're telling me the red brick turned into a granite block? Yeah, it did.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And they just think you're crazy, but
yeah,
I don't know what to say.
That's what we see repeatedly. There's a pattern to finding this. It's not, there's not just like a few sites where we see this phenomenon. So maybe they were just building that way. It's like, this is consistently predictable. It's predictable.
Yeah. And then once you get to a certain point, like when we're going out doing boots on the ground, I mean, a lot of times we'll look for bricks just for the fun of it, but we don't need to find a brick. I know what it is. It doesn't matter if I don't find a brick all day. I know what it all is.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's so abundant. I think it can be overwhelming. It's so abundant, you know? So you don't need to constantly have these confirmations because you have them without even trying really. So there's another one, thick with brick, and you can see how the inside was surely thick with brick, but now it's like all these cooked out rocks, what we call rocks.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, they are still digging Rome out. This is a picture of them still digging Rome out.
Oh, they got a ways to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it's like at some point, just like on that stream you did, Jen, with Chris, it was like at some point you just got to say stop, just stop. We'll just put a sidewalk here. It's enough.
Yep.
Yeah,
RMFB. So is this? It's all RMFB too.
Yeah,
all of it.
Yep.
Every single thing in this picture.
This was one of the first ones I had in the show, and it's just showing that expansion. And this is the kind of damage that we see in a lot of castles, and like we see at Edinburgh Castle, that they say it's a volcanic plug. It's this kind of damage though that is flowing out, that it's become like lava, but it's fused in, and you'll have these little pockets of wall that are down below, or steps that go to nowhere, that are on the side of these mountains that make note they're out of place because they don't belong there, according to the narrative. So this is just heat expansion.
Yeah.
This is another one that was at the beginning. Yeah, this is heat expansion. And there's tons of like, not very well-known places that people don't really, it's not the pyramids, it's just some nowhere place, but they're everywhere. But this is a heat expansion here. And there's another picture of the same location on the other side. On the other side where you see it becoming blocks, where it's actually spilling out and becoming like megalithic blocks. On the other side, I've got both pictures of this. And the name of that place, it's in Spain. The name of it's that Albracen, or however you say it.
Yeah, so what do they say? They built on top of this janky nonsense right here?
I didn't find any reference to this at all. They just don't reference it. Yeah.
Is there anybody even that's not awake yet that thinks that is somewhat possible? I mean, give me a break.
Yeah. I mean,
look at the size of this thing.
Yeah, I know, it's massive.
On
this big ass boulder. Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
What inspector passed that? Signed that ticket?
Something else that the narrative says, as far as historical architecture, is they say that they would make the bottoms rougher, more rock-like, to create the symbolic illusion of strength of the foundation of these structures. So that's one of the excuses they have on a big umbrella definition, historically, historically for architecture. This was a style, basically, that they would make it rough and rocky at the bottom.
And that's all they can go with. That's the style. Yeah. That's all they can come up with. That's all they can.
Yeah.
What else can they say?
Because you're going to build a huge tower on that kind of a rough, rocky base, right?
So this one now you can see where it's expanding out and it's becoming like blocks. Like all that shit down here on the ground is part of the structure. That would have all been originally constructed with masonry, but now it just looks like this rocky bottom, this stair-step rocky bottom. That doesn't make sense. You can see it just looks cooked, fried on that side.
What's going on with this outside corner? It's nice and clean and sharp, and then it just starts deteriorating right here.
That's right. Yep.
Maybe that was the style too.
Yeah.
Did we do this one?
Yeah, I think this one's in here twice. I love this one.
Look at that. Wow.
Wow.
And this continues. It's here on this big tower. It looks like melted plastic. If you ever melt plastic, how it curls over onto itself, that's what this looks like. As far as I know, they didn't address this. A lot of times they'll say it was built on a rocky outcrop or a rocky outpost. They'll say something like that, or say nestled in rock. They don't really address the actual construction of how it would have been built this way. So if we were to erase all this brick, all this castle, imagine that big rock formation jutting out with this bubbly side and then saying, let's build a castle connected to that. Makes no sense. Not only that, so there's that area there. And if you go to the right, look at the bottom of these, see there, that's more of it. That's more of it. And it's even further right. If you were to keep going, there's little pockets that are all the way across. All the way. That's all of it. Yeah, look at that.
Yep.
It's
impossible. It's not even a discussion. So
yeah, 100%.
Not possible.
Agreed. Yeah, these kind of locations like this, like no one's going to address or look at. Like I show my husband stuff and he's just like, oh, that's a good one. But then he won't really admit it, but he's just like, oh.
Right. You know? And the reason it's still standing is because it's all welded together now.
Exactly. I love this one too. This is one of my favorite ones too.
Yeah.
So this is, and I've got another, the next picture after this should be another angle.
Blame it on the monks.
Yeah, the monks. Yeah. But you can see how it's just, it's like it started falling downward onto itself, you know, and it just squished out. It's melted, expanded outward, and it slid down into itself. So now you got this, and you can see where you've got this lasagna melt going on, like we see all the time. The rock at the bottom, you got the wall, and then on the upper section there, the core of it at the top, there's more crawling all over the sides, around the sides. In the next image,
oh yeah, I saw it right here.
All out there, yeah. And it's on the other side too, on the right, on that same section of structure. Yeah, right there.
Yep.
And look at the way the masonry looks on this lower part compared to the upper part.
Yeah.
You know?
All stuck in various stages of transition when the event ended.
Yep.
Quickly. It ended quickly, and everything froze like this.
It's like a switch. It was just on and off. Like I mentioned before in a video, but imagine the sound.
Yeah.
Whatever it sounded like. What a trip. Like I've had dreams. I've had dreams of being in a structure that starts melting down after I've had gone into this research.
Wow.
This crazy.
I mean, just looking at that though, you can see it happening. You know what I mean? You can see it. You could just, I never even thought of what it would sound like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot.
Like a horn. It just would have been like this vibrational, this deadly sound. It would have been a deadly sound. It would have just busted your eardrums instantly.
Yeah, that's a crazy picture.
Yeah. Hopefully the next one is there's another angle of this place. Oh, no, maybe we'll come to it though. But it's really good because it shows a close-up of the other angle with the archways and stuff. But yeah, here's just more mud-flooded stuff, which again, I think is associated with this X Factor heat event, the mud flood, because some people separate it, but I think they're one and the same. And this was, I think, discovered doing some construction job, or they were going to do something to the buildings or fix something up. But look, there's windows. I mean, clearly this was above ground, you know, originally. The windows go down. This is what a lot of our, you know, Capitol buildings and courthouses look like, where you have a half window. Like the one I have here in my small town, the windows are underground. You know, why would you put a whole window there? It's going to be underground, you know.
Right.
So what would the wrought iron be? Just for looks? I mean, it can't be for safety or security.
No, I think it has a functionality.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Yeah, see, I'm going to throw it out there like I always say. I don't think they're windows.
No.
I think it's a component.
Yeah, could be.
I don't think they're windows. I don't think any of them are. I think it's deliberately below ground like that. I don't think it was mud flooded.
You think what?
I don't think it was mud flooded. I think it was designed like that. And
You think it was
these
under?
wrought iron parts are part of this component. They're not a window. We associate it with a window, but I don't think it is.
So you're saying you think that the ground ended there, like before this cataclysm happened? This was already underground, or you're just saying?
Yes, yes. This went all the way over to here. So these appear to be mud flooded windows. We associate it with window. To me, what we're looking at, this is not a building.
Well, yeah.
So that makes it simple. It's not a building for people. It's a pure component, purely component, part of the machine.
Yeah, but
so therefore, that doesn't make this a window. This makes this a part of this component, deliberately designed to be at that level.
Yeah, but I mean, couldn't we? But I mean,
that's what I think,
because we think people were living and doing stuff in these structures. I mean, do you think people were using these structures?
No, I think this was part of this is a component. I don't think anybody lived here ever.
What? So
until we came along and converted it to use.
So do you think this was? How do you think this?
But I know I'm pretty alone in that thought. But that's
no. I think it's fascinating. I want to hear more. So do you think it was constructed this way? Like I agree. I do think that they're all like components. I think this idea of antiquitech, which is now thrown around all the time, that these were some kind of energy system, and it was. We can see that it's all connected. We have this sacred geometry kind of cycle patterns that go everywhere. The structures themselves are part of this pattern. It was like a big orchestra of beautiful tech that was going on. But I think there were people living in these structures, like they were basically capable, they were optimal, they were capable of building and understanding all this complex stuff that we can't. Now, I've got a book from 1869 teaching like how to speak and properly digest literature, and I cannot even read it. It is so dense, the way it's worded, like just from the mid-1800s, like these people that would have lived in these structures, if there were people living in the structures, would have been a whole nother level of understanding, because we've been so dumbed down and poisoned. So I think that there were people residing in these structures. They were adding the beautiful details. They were able to be optimal and take their time. And that's what they spent their life doing. If all I had to do in my life was love my family and my children and make beautiful things to live in for my children and grandchildren and like, my God, that would just be, I can't even imagine. It gives me chill bumps to imagine such a reality, you know? And there would have been other people that were just as passionate as I was about creating and making art and beautifying stuff and making music or making tech or doing whatever part that they played. So just as these structures would have been components, the people were too of this overall realm is what I'm interpreting. But so,
well, let me say this.
I'm fascinated to see what, go ahead.
So we do a lot of boots, and it is absolutely my opinion, like the work that Jen's done with underground pipage, say for example, in New York City, that was never installed post-event. That was all there. So that being said, when I'm in like Lowell, Massachusetts, and I see sewer drain covers, an overwhelming majority of drain covers and manhole covers, and that whole system is original, including the manhole cover, all of it. That metal survives. It's clear as day to me. There's no doubt. So that being said, if I'm walking on a street in Lowell, Massachusetts, the whole sewer system, 99% of it, I mean, okay, they've done work to it in the last 50 years, but 90% of it was there. So that means the elevation of that manhole cover is still the same.
Yeah. Yes. That makes
sense.
Okay.
So if I follow that street, the elevation over to the edge of the building, why is there a mud flooded window there? How do you explain that? The elevation hasn't changed, as can be proven by the manhole cover. The elevation is the same, but it's still leaving that foot on top of a window. The elevation has not changed.
Let me say one theory I might have, if that is the case, to try to explain this. What if the cavities below collapsed and filled in, and the structure so perfect in its construction that it fell directly into its own footprint, where it fell below? Like, I've got a theory, I made a video about it, that earthquakes are actually old world cavities that have collapsed in. And so what if these structures went much further down, and the heat came from the bottom up, right? So these cavities that would have gone way, way down collapsed in once it weakened from the heat, that they fell into themselves, but it looks perfect. That's just like Why would we have these metals that are perfectly square, like these monolithic structures, perfect 90-degree edges? Perfect. How could they be that perfect if they melted? Well, these things were built to such efficiency. They were extracting power balanced and equally throughout the battery of bricks that made it. Whenever it melted, it just like melted like beautiful ice, freezing, like water freezing, because it was so consistent. So these structures could have fell into their own footstep, or is that how you say it? Yeah.
Literally sunk straight down.
Yeah, could have sunk straight down. So, and the ground around it could have been soft if there was like, especially if there was water that came in and brought some dirt or whatever. And they could have cleared off dirt with but I understand what you're saying. Like the elevation is consistently the same with the manhole and the.
What we see here in New England is 80% transition and 20% melt. Fact.
Nice.
There's very little melt here. It's all transition. So we're looking at the exact same footprint. It's just transitioned.
Gotcha.
Right? So that's what it is here. But so that being said, the streets, everything, it's all the same. It's just it's simply transitioned. It's the same exact thing, just transitioned. But there's mud flooded windows everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. But I've come to the same conclusion over and over again. It's not melted. It's transition. All of it, all the streets, all the buildings. It's all this exact same thing that it was. It's just transitioned.
Gotcha.
But that being said, I'm surrounded by mud flooded windows. So I don't know how to make it make sense.
Yeah, it could be.
As if they were like that prior to the event.
Well, that one place that you went into, Curtis, where there was windows in there and they were bricked up in that one factory or old thing.
Yeah, they're everywhere like that. So you can look at a wall in a mill building here, and it is so confusing because there's so halfway arches made of bricks. Some are filled in, some are not. It almost looks like a blue. I think it's the layout, the confusing layout of the bricks like that is part of the component. That's how the component was built. That's how it's wired. That's what I think. I mean, we can look at these brick walls here every day, and they're so weird. They don't make any sense.
Yeah. I wonder too, because with the blocked up archways, I've always wondered, like, why are they blocked up? Did they know some cataclysm was coming, or did they foresee something, or did they somehow figure out, like, we're pulling too much energy, we got to block that?
That's what it is, Freya. I think they're
logically more energy, and they needed some kind of conduit to not have the gap that the window or the door is, but instead have something to continue the flow.
Yeah, that's what a logic gate does. When you look into electronics and you look at the logic gates and they close circuits and stuff, that's what I think.
Logic gates?
Logic gates in electronics, yes.
I'll have to look that up. SHEPU's always good with the electronical stuff. I'm not so savvy with electronic stuff, you know. That's interesting, though, Curtis. Like, yeah, it could be. I mean, I know with Pence, there's been a lot of kind of discoveries he's made that it's like, this doesn't really match what we're thinking. You know, like how
I keep coming to the same conclusion.
Make that make sense.
With windows. Oh, why is that window bricked up? Why is that window halfway below ground? And I keep coming to the same conclusion, because it's not a fucking window.
Yeah.
It's not a window. This is a component. We associate it with a window, or they came through in the 40s and 50s and they put a window in there and a door in the openings of the component. It's not a window. It's not a door.
But also
window. When you break down window means wind down. So you're putting.
Are there areas where it was residential and there's people living there? Yes, but I think the vast majority of it, I come to the same conclusion. Why is it like that? For any other, and I'll ask that question for a number of reasons, but I'll come to the same conclusion. Because it's not a window. Because it's not a door. Over and over and over and over again. That's the same conclusion I come to personally.
Well, Curtis, do you think if it's the structures that are always mud flooded, maybe the structures, that's the same, I think, with the mountains, like basically the structures were the ones actually harnessing and receiving the energy. And so if that's what got zapped harder, basically, if they did go further, they still could have fallen into their own footprint, but then the sidewalk right next to it held its form because the sidewalk wasn't pulling energy the way the batteries, this piece of electric, was pulling. And so it fell into itself. So we have a tunnel system and underground layers, which maybe some of that was actually underground, but now it's even more underground because it fell into itself slightly.
So, I mean, even put it this way, we'll see a cobblestone street in Lowell, Massachusetts.
Mhm.
It's original. It was brick. It hasn't moved, and go straight across the sidewalk. There's your mud flooded windows. So what the fuck's going on?
Well, it could have
The
again.
street was at that level. It's just transitioned to cobblestone.
Well,
But you look right there, and mud flooded windows.
Yeah.
They're not windows. I don't
maybe,
think they're windows.
you could be right. I don't know. I'm just trying to make sense of either way that could go. But the heat could have been so great, that it caused the cobblestones. But then the structure kept most of its form. But again, it slid down, just like we have the perfect.
Freya has a point, because if you look at cross bedding, what geology calls cross bedding, we could see that with the buildings, because it'll still look level, but within the levelness of it, you'll see the slippage going on and stuff. That may be part of it, but
I like it.
Here, look at this. This isn't a mud flooded arch. This is melted, but it's still looking like it's level as it's going down.
Yeah, because if you were to build something, if you were to build some kind of structure and you made the bottom of it really, really hot, or it was in some kind of, I just feel like if the heat's from the bottom up, then the lowermost levels would almost become like liquid, and you have this perfect.
And the weight of the building pushing down.
Yeah. Or it just thunk, and it just.
And also, if it's more hot there than the other spot next to it, it's going to go down, and maybe that part next to it will stay up higher because it doesn't have building pressing down on it, like the road, the street you're just talking about, Curtis. That original street doesn't have a building weighing it down, but the building itself is weighing down. That could possibly be what we're seeing here, and that could
definitely on the table.
Cross bedding that we see as well.
Yeah, that's good point. Yeah, you have the whole weight of the above part of the structure that's pushing down on this soft material. Now it's become soft, like syrupy, and so it's pushing down on it. Yeah, this is a good. But I like that idea. I mean, I do think that they're components. I do think the elements, everything, I think had a purpose. Everything had a purpose. These people were very smart. If people built it, I mean, it could have been somehow. I mean,
create it, manifest it.
Yeah. Who knows, I mean, or even if you get into AI and stuff, people are like, oh, they look like the 3G printed. It's like, well, could that maybe be it? Was this maybe there was such sophisticated tech or a real divine type of tech that constructed these? I don't know. But yeah, these like this, where you can see that the archways are like filled in. I've come across several old castles that have big archway doors, what I consider door component, but they're like there's boulder pouring out and totally blocking up the archway. Like they wouldn't have built an archway around the boulder, and the boulder didn't develop after they built the archway, unless it melted.
Exactly.
It's like plugging up an archway. So
and this is what we see, like apertures that are closed up. You can see the aperture there. Even this would be a filled in arch all the way, but we would just see that arch in there, and it would be like a flat face because this melt would have came through further. And even maybe spilled out of it. Yeah.
But especially on the upper part of the structure, you can see all that bubbling out that's turned to rock.
Yeah.
All that top part there.
You can just see how it was chewing up just chewing right up.
And that's what the Edinburgh Castle and the Dracula's Castle in Romania. It's this kind of damage, but larger. It's the same damage. And you can see where there's like that bulging out section to the left of that biggest rocky bulge. You can make out the up above it on the top section. Go up to the top section. See that section? Yeah, where the hand just was. It's bulged out wall, but it's got all messed up masonry, but it's bulged out just like the rock.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying. It's like they were mimicking the geological formations they were building amongst, and making it shaped like it too, but adding masonry. Like,
no, I don't think so. And look at all this mortar around up there that's time sensitive and needs to be stirred and water add to it all the time.
And how are they getting up here? That's like, I watched a documentary about Dracula's Castle with my husband on our big TV. And literally these people that were doing the documentary and going to check this place out, they had to climb on all fours up this rocky forest to get to the castle. And like, they climbed, like, they built it this way to defend against the Muslims. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
Of course.
When you built this, the Muslims would be long gone.
How would they get all the supplies up there? Come on,
they believe their own nonsense. It's crazy.
This is crazy.
Well, it takes away critical thinking too. You're handed these narratives, these historical narratives that are supposed to be, documented by whatever and all this stuff like that, and you don't even think past that to even try to critical think it. They take the critical thinking out of the equation and just hand you the narrative.
Exactly. And it's a lot of work for your brain to try to figure this out. If no one tells you that you're looking at something melted, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So they really make sure that everyone's like curiosity muscle is very weak, and that their ability to problem solve and, use their own reasoning to figure it out is extremely lazy and uninterested. So you don't think about it. UNESCO is going to tell you what to think. Academia is going to tell you what to make sense of this. It's too much work for your little peasant brain,
Yep.
And most people are that's enough for them.
Yeah, that's where they got us. Yep. Obey the authority.
Yeah.
What they say goes. They write the history books, they write the school books, and you got to go to school to learn their bullshit narratives. Why would they send you to school and make you do all this stuff if it wasn't true? You got to remember it, repeat it.
12 years too.
Yeah.
12 years they're going to get anybody.
Yep, for sure.
Minimum 12 years. And then you start paying for it.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right, Curtis. And they're starting it now younger and younger, like preschool at 3 years old, teaching you all the rules and what you need to know, socially conditioning you.
Yep.
And it's just
they're conditioning out the critical thinkers, the free thinkers. If you ask too many questions, you get ostracized. This type of stuff. You always hear stories of the kid that was, in the back of the class asking these crazy questions, and the teacher would be like, "Oh, you're just disturbing the class,"
Yeah.
But these people are, and then there's the SHOT program that they've been escalating over the years to where it's like astronomical amounts that are given as soon as you're born to start that stunting process of critical thinking, to shut down parts of your brain that never really get to awaken.
Yeah.
With this type of curiosity. You got autism and all this stuff. On one hand, they're super genius, and the other hand, they can't tie their shoes or something. It's just all this, and that's confusion. That's your brain being confused, disoriented, mixed up. You can't. Yeah, you might be genius over here, but you can't. Common sense escapes you. You know what I mean? So you can't have both at the same time, and you're looked at as having some type of handicap or a disability of some sort. Yeah,
the fluoride, all of it. It all plays a part in that, and that's why I think, Curtis, like these structures are so impressive. It's almost like impossible that we could have made them. They're too complex. They have function that's beyond us. Like, we are so stunted and held down.
Yeah.
I feel so passionate about some things that it's like, if I was left to my own accord and take all this bullshit away from me, like, yes, I could have worked in that orchestra of society that didn't even sign their name on the art, because I was doing it for all of us because I had so much love and intent in what I was doing, and I was allowed to solely focus on that and do my part. Like, I think we all would have had that, but it's just, we're so stunted where it's just, we don't even know how to make sense of it anymore, which is why we're here now, trying to, because we know that their story doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I mean, even what's going on underground in Egypt, they're trying to figure out, where did they move this granite box from Aswan? How did they get it down here in this thing? And they're asking all the wrong questions, you know what I mean? Or they're blaming it on aliens. It's like, what is the function of this thing? Clearly, it is not a sarcophagus, 3 stories down in an area where it looks like it would have been like, carved right there, but it's not from there. It's from somewhere else. And they tell, well, there's sarcophagi, or there's sarcophagi for the bulls that they had that they worshipped. I forget what they're called, but anyway, they're like giant bulls or whatever. They said but they never found any bull bones in these things. You know what I mean? So they're components, and it seems to be something that was made either by a lot of this stuff by people that were larger than us that had other abilities, maybe even to manifest these things and create them and manifest them at the same time. But we're given this narrative, and the narrative itself leads you into the wrong questions to ask for all this stuff. You know, you don't look at these buildings as components. We don't look at the Capitol buildings and and you know, these grand buildings that nobody lives in, you know, like the Palace of Versailles or even Hampton Court as a component. But the Capitol buildings and all this stuff being exactly the same, the cathedrals having the same, pretty much same layout and stuff. You don't live in these buildings.
Yeah.
You don't just go there to work and worship and stuff like that. They had a whole nother functionality to them.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
And they all seem to have underground networks of some sort of subterranean stuff. Even Eastern State Penitentiary, that is not a penitentiary. Sorry. It's just not.
Yeah. That whole world is so alien to us.
Are you knocking the glue over?
I guess it just fell over. I don't know what happened. Maybe God's letting me know we're on the right track and we should end it here. We're right at 3 hours. Freya, do you have any other stuff you want to show or anything?
No, that's it. I mean, I've got tons of stuff to show and talk about, but that could be it for tonight. Like, that's all that I said. So
we're definitely going to get together and do a paranormal show for sure.
Yeah.
Patty, and we got to coordinate, and we'll figure that out. It'll definitely be coming up in the very near future. I'd love to do that.
Nice.
Heck yeah, I would love that. Like I said, I made a paranormal video. I just haven't posted it yet because I'm like, it's totally different. And I don't know if it's just me telling the story on my porch, like freaking out telling the story.
I don't even know if you can cover it all in one show. It might have to be a series.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, that would be good.
Part 1, 2, and 3.
Huge,
Paranormal
there's so much
activity.
to talk about.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, we can have other people come on too and tell us, because I'm sure everybody's got some kind of paranormal stuff to tell.
For sure. Oh, yeah. Yeah, just let me know. I'm down for whenever.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'm going to look into probably getting something like that together within the next week or two. Find out what Patty's schedule is. And I already know what your schedule is. So we'll figure it all out and we'll coordinate and get that show going for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, I'd love to do a stream with Patty. That'd be so fun.
Yeah. We had her on before for a paranormal show. It was her, SHEPU, and I forget if anybody else came on with us or not, but it was interesting.
I watched that one. Yeah, I think it was just y'all three.
Yeah. Patty's got some good paranormal stories, and SHEPU had some good ones too.
Yeah,
he did. He basically had like a near-death experience.
Yeah, and like
he was telling that, I was like, like I wanted to hear more. I'm like, wait, go back.
Yeah. And what's interesting too is how these children have night terrors.
Yes, my daughter has night terrors, and I had night terrors.
My son Christopher had night terrors, and it is terrifying to see your child have night terrors. Okay, like I didn't know what the hell was happening. I was like, he was awake and he was screaming, but he wasn't seeing me or anything. He was seeing something else.
Yeah, my son
he had
them
a few times.
It's something like sleep paralysis, and biblically we could make sense of it by it's some kind of demonic presence or something. You know, like that's not normal. That's not what should be happening while we're sleeping.
They're too young to have any kind of traumatic experience for that kind of a night terror to happen. I mean, this is since he was a baby. Like I'm talking.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Yeah.
My son, whenever he was like maybe 4 months old, he was 3 or 4 months old. He was sleeping, and my husband was playing but playing video games. And he had his headphones. There was no sound. And my son suddenly was like, he put his arms up and a little baby started screaming and thrashing. And my husband was like, what is going on? I was like, I don't know. And I was like, it's okay. I was like, he's still sleeping.
Yeah.
He stopped, but I was like, what in the hell? Like, they don't even not supposed to have dreams at that age.
Yeah.
As an adult, he had it, not an adult, but as a toddler and older, he had it again. And just like you said, I'd be like, it's okay. And I'd be like, comfort him. And it's like looking at me, but still freaking out.
Yeah, exactly. That's how my son was. It was the most bizarre, craziest thing that I had ever experienced with my child. It was crazy. Yeah.
So yeah, but I'm down. I'd love to talk about some paranormal stuff with you.
Well, we'll definitely get that scheduled up for sure. Curtis, thank you for helping me out with this tonight. You did help Freya out a lot as well with the pictures and everything. Thank you so much.
No problem.
You did so good.
I wish they were in order. I wish I could have got them in order, but I was just glad I got them in a folder.
It's all right. We were just throwing out getting it all out there.
Really good, Freya. I like the outline of the whole idea for it, and I
love it too.
Be really, really good.
Yeah, I can just get it organized and get a little smaller. Like if I could make it like less than 20 minutes is kind of what I'm thinking, you know?
Yeah. And you're right. There's a lot of people coming in. We forget being in it so long that
Exactly.
There's new people and they don't know. When you're talking really high level meltology, they don't even know what the fuck you're talking about.
Basics,
they can't even get to the idea of like, is it components or it's falling into
Right.
Yeah, we're still trying to figure it out.
Where did the mud come from? Yeah.
Correct. Yes.
That's really why I felt so compelled to make a video about that, the basics, because it's popping off so much all around me and all these other niches. So it's like somebody needs to just wrap this up in a little bow and put it out there.
Yeah.
I like it. So, and I think you're the one to do it for sure.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, we're going to get ready to get out of here. We're right at 3 hours. Thank you, everybody who hung out all this time, who came in late and was tardy, and who was here right from the beginning. I love all of you. Thank you so much. I do have pinned in the chat a donation for Dean. He is in a new area here and he's starting over and he's got an interview tomorrow. Really excited about that. Good. But, you need a little help getting on your feet. And if anybody would like to donate to help him out, the donations are there. You can do PayPal or the Cash App and it will get directly to him. So, guys, if you feel compelled to do that, I appreciate it. And if you can't, that's fine too. Just keep them in your prayers. And again, Freya, thank you so much. Freya's channel is linked in the description below. So is Curtis's channel. Please, guys, make sure you're subbed and bell over at those channels. And, if you were and you're not now, YouTube fuckery, that always happens. So always make sure your notification bell is on for those, because a lot of times you don't get notified for these live streams. All right, well, let me get my song ready here. And like I always say, let it not be said that we stood by and did nothing, guys. I love you, and we are out of here.
Bye.